Isn't Volcanic also Alexander?
That's Brian Snooty.
Oh, that's Snooty. Oh, right.
Sorry, I'm just kind of...
Yeah, no, it's fine. You're an art elitist. You're better at this than me. You get to call me out on it.
I am kind of elitist when it comes to the artwork of my cards. Tarmogoyf hits the table. Oh, boy. And you know what?
Well, there's another Swords for Adam.
Yeah, but Adam also has to deal with the Creeping Tar Pit. Mm-hmm. And the Creeping Tar Pit, kind of interesting. It's coming out of the Charlotte's Bug deck, but certainly making an appearance here in this mid-range Bug deck.
It certainly generates a lot of value in these kind of matchups
it really does.
that you're fighting your opponent. Because it's a land, it's also a threat, so if your opponent deals with it, you get a free card out of it. It's like a Wasteland that hits a spell.
Oh, and is that a Pyroblast? Yeah, if Adam finds that red source, Pyroblast's actually going to be quite good at dealing with that Creeping Tar Pit.
Absolutely. Creeping Tar Pit does turn into a blue and black elemental creature.
That's right.
I've had it being an elemental come up relevant once. My opponent had a Master of Waves in a deck. It was cute, but...
That's weird.
It does get pumped by Master of Waves.
Along with Mutavault and Friends.
Mutavault and Friends. Mutavault gets really big in Mirror.
Delver of Secrets.
That deck.
You know what I really like Greg doing is he's actually... Oh, Counterspell getting snapped off here. Greg is actually just trying to slow roll all the removal out of Adam's hand so he can go ahead and attack with Creeping Tar Pit.
Yeah, so the early hand disruption that Greg played got a bunch of 2-for-1s. And now Greg's just trying to 1-for-1 him out of the game because Miracles runs a lot more lands than Bug Delver.
That's true.
So Bug Delver trying to 1-for-1 someone ends up a lot better for Bug Delver.
That's right.
When you're playing 18 lands, your opponent's playing 24, you're just more likely to hit action on them.
Yeah, and what's one of the kind of interesting things about Greg is that actually he's not drawing as much hand destruction that all the hand destruction that he had in his deck was played a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Right. So all the cards that Adam has, he can actually feel relatively safe by keeping them in hand. Mm-hmm. You saw Adam didn't go ahead and commit his Jace the Mind Sculptor to the table.
I think he knew Jace would just get eaten up by this.
Well, he could have plused it, I suppose.
Yeah, but is that really doing anything for you?
I think the idea there is he actually wants to plus Jace, and then he wants to brainstorm on next turn to try to find a red source. Mm-hmm. There's the red source. Oh my!
So I like this. It feels a lot safer to jam Jace here.
It certainly does. Because now I guess the red source is going to be good versus a Force of Will, and here it comes. Jace, better than all, the Mind Sculptor.
And I imagine Greg has a counterspell here, but it's just going to get Pyroblasted. I think he's got a Force. Oh, it looks like this Jace is actually resolving.
You know what? I think the reason why he did that is because he believes that his Creeping Tar Pit is going to be good. And it will be, assuming that his Force Will is going to go ahead and back up the Pyroblast. So it's actually kind of fascinating here, because I know that Adam wants to shuffle, and you know that Adam actually really just needs to have double... Like, his Blast is going to be good versus the Tar Pit, but Greg's going to have the Force Will to beat it in the end.
Absolutely. I believe Greg's also got a Ponder in hand that he'll be able to use to pitch the
Force Will. That's right. Yeah, I think... I can't imagine any line where Greg actually doesn't want to attack with the attacks, fetch.
These are the times where Stifle would just be amazing here.
Yeah, it really would be. Stifle on the land activation? Oh, man, that would be brutal. Here's the Blast, and it's not going to resolve.
So he's got 2 Blasts in hand.
Force of Will, that's right.
He doesn't have the mana to play both of them right now, though.
See, if he had that Plateau, he could double shot there. That would be actually pretty good. But,
yeah, absolutely.
Kind of too bad. But that's okay. I got to believe that Adam realized that the Force of Will or the Jace wasn't long for this world.
Yeah, he hasn't seen a Force of Will out of Greg yet, and you got to imagine your opponent keeps Force Will in this.
Yeah, really does. Right. Ooh.
We're going to see...
Deathrite Shaman's going to work right now.
Main phase, he wants to eat that. One of the reasons why you want to eat the sorcery speed is you don't want to give your opponent a window to Snapcaster Mage.
That's right.
And while most of the time you want to do it in response to Snapcaster Mage, Greg also wants to eat that card out of the graveyard ASAP.
Yeah, he does. Because if he gets 2 activations from it... Oh! No! R.I.P.
Yeah, so the pepperonis are here. Deathrite is now just a 1/2 hybrid mana card. It's still, it's still undercasted.
Yeah, it's Squire.
Yeah. Not only is it a single mana, but it's a hybrid single mana.
That's right.
Legacy really just outclasses cards like Squire, I think, is the problem.
Oh my gosh. And he has the card to kill it, but the graveyard already got eaten away.
Yeah, and so how this interaction works is if you ever destroy Rest in Peace with a spell, Rest in Peace will exile itself.
That's right.
It'll see itself go, but the other spell hasn't resolved from the stack yet, and goes to the graveyard. So that Tarmogoyf is going to be a 1/2 here.
but still, still a threat. I don't know why that. I think he should have attacked. Well, I guess he wants to grow Tarmogoyf.
Yeah. I like the Squire attack though. I like that line a lot.
Rather than drain 2, gain 2.
I mean, you'll always be able to drain 2 later, right?
That's right.
I imagine Greg's just going to attack here for 3. I don't really want to play into another Terminus.
That's right. Even into a brainstorm, right? Like it could certainly happen.
It'd be very easy for it to occur. Obviously, Adam hasn't set up the top of his library recently, but it's not that hard to do.
Yeah, you know what's kind of interesting is that Rest in Peace certainly dealt a lot of damage already to the clock of Greg. You know, it really took away the amount of spells that Deathray can eat, and it shrunk the Tarmogoyf, you know, well out of range of being lethal in a couple swings. So certainly, and here comes Pithing. Oh, is that a Pithing Needle? I bet you he's gonna try to trick him. He's gonna name.
Yeah, you put that on the stack, and if your opponent doesn't crack a fetch, you play that as a strip mine, basically.
Yeah, I think he just stripped him.
Let's get a double check on exactly what that Pithing Needle's on, but I'm imagining it's on Flooded Strand.
Yeah, I imagine it's on Flooded Strand as well.
It's on Jace
the Mind Sculptor.
So
I suppose that's good too. I mean, Jace the Mind Sculptor is a card that could certainly save him in this position. Here comes... Oh, but... Yeah, and here's the Blast.
I imagine Greg's okay with that. He's still got a Tarmogoyf in play, still has a DRS in play.
Yeah. I think the big issue though is actually Adam. I mean, like Adam can certainly now a top deck Terminus would certainly help him out, whereas a top deck Terminus wouldn't necessarily be as good because Creeping Tar Pit is a threat. Yeah, only. Exactly. Or instant speed only, right? Okay, is that a Snapcaster Mage?
Yeah, there's no cards in Adam's graveyard, and there's a Deathrite Shaman in play. So I imagine that if that Snapcaster resolves, it's actually just going to be a Ambush Viper with no Death Touch.
Oh, and oh no, Brainstorm. You want to talk about a good card to draw for Miracles? Let's talk about Brainstorm really quick.
Absolutely.
And the crazy thing about it is, is that a Terminus?
It is.
That's a Terminus.
One of the things he's got to watch out for, though, is I imagine Greg's going to instep try and eat this Brainstorm, and if Adam flashes in the Snapcaster in response to Flashback Brainstorm, it's still Adam's turn, and he's already drawn a card this turn, so he won't be able to Miracle the Terminus.
So he has to wait for a full turn before he can Miracle the Terminus.
And I don't know if he's got that window. He's at 4 here, and I think he might just hardcast Terminus.
Oh, I think
right
so.
Now.
I think you're absolutely correct.
Spend full price on a Wrath of God.
He just has to go for it, you know, and because he certainly doesn't have any time. Now, that's one of the crazy things about that Creeping Tar Pit is that if he was able to bide some time and then let his Tar Pit into play, his Tar Pit would actually kill Greg, assuming that he had to tap out.
Yeah. Kill Adam, you mean?
Yeah, kill Adam. Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. I got you.
Kind of interesting. Actually, Adam electing to fetch here, and I believe the reason why is because he wants his Blast to support this Terminus. It has to resolve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
If that Pithing Needle had been named on Flooded Strand, this game might be very different.
Yeah, it could. I mean,
I think he's got 7 mana in play though, so he'd still be able to cast the Terminus and have mana up. Oh, he's going to play a Ponder first. Interesting. So,
Adam's getting greedy, man.
Yeah, it's a little greedy.
I would have Terminus first and then cast Ponder. That's kind of Greedstown. I don't know.
What's he looking for with this Ponder?
I don't know.
I
think Terminus would be a lot better, actually.
Oh, apparently finding another Ponder.
Yeah. I mean, wait, what? Why?
There's a Swords to Plowshares, I guess.
I guess.
Maybe that's the route he wants to take. He wants to Swords the Tarmogoyf, and then in response to Deathrite eating the Swords. Swords Deathrite, but...
Oh, that would certainly be a... Oh, he's shuffling.
I have no idea what's going on. I don't really know what Adam's doing.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think what he's trying to play for.
Yeah, I don't actually know.
I feel like the Terminus was a good out, and then
he has it in hand.
Yeah.
He's gonna draw
a fetch, and he's gonna pick him up.
I don't know. I thought he could have gotten there.
I don't know if Adam would have won that game, but he wouldn't have died next turn. And sometimes that's what you gotta play for.
It was weird though, because Greg's hand was only spot removal. It was only enchantment removal. It was weird. That was a very bizarre. Oh my gosh. I think Adam should have had that. I really do. I think he should have at least been able to stabilize.
Yeah, he definitely could have stabilized, had an empty board. And against Bug Delver, like I said earlier, empty board's where you want to be because Bug Delver doesn't have these bolts. They don't have a way to kill you unless they're attacking with creatures or draining you with Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah, they really don't. And also, Adam's Rubric's cards off the top are a lot more powerful than Greg Mitchell's cards off the top. You know, Adam can draw cards like Jace the Mind Sculptor or... I guess Monastery Mentor is not necessarily as good without the top, but I mean he can still hit cards.
So Adam's bringing in Wear Tears. I'm a little surprised he didn't have these games.
Yeah, that was kind of, especially because he saw the Sylvan Library too.
You know, as a Miracles player, you know your opponent's going to bring in some disruption, whether it be Pithing Needle, Null Rod, both, or things like that. Sylvan Library as well. even potentially things like Choke. I've seen Bug Delver deck play Choke in the board.
Oh yeah, especially because you can actually just operate off of your Bayous.
Yeah, you can operate off Bayous and then Death Rate for your blue mana.
That's right.
You also have Daze in your deck, so you can Daze, tap lands back, and then play them.
That's leveling there.
Yeah.
That's leveling.
The first time I saw it, I'm like, wait, isn't this a blue deck? Why is it playing Choke? And then I saw him play it, and I'm like, oh, so this Choke actually isn't punishing him at all while it's destroying his miracles.
Right. Yeah, and like one of the things that Bug actually lacks quite a bit of is static answers. You can't really play a card like Meddling Mage or Eidolon of the Great Revel, and static answers are actually very important to beat miracles.
Yeah, we saw these disruption effects.
Yeah, we saw. Well, even so, we saw in game 1 how a static answer, quote unquote, would have been a card like Sylvan Library because it would have allowed him to find the correct cards he needed to win the game. Right.
Take 8, draw 2, and then next turn take another 8, draw 2.
Exactly right, and then Adam's not pressuring you, and you have inevitable removal in Abrupt Decay. So even if he does have a Snapcaster Mage, you can just kill it. It's like not that big of a deal.
Absolutely.
But I am pretty interested to see what Greg's going to go ahead and start. And I guess Adam's on the play this time, so on the play versus on the draw is certainly a lot different. Adam Rupert getting hit by a grand total of 3 Hymn-to-Trox in the first 4 turns of the 2 games, or in the first 3 turns of both games. So pretty brutal.
So Greg's playing a Delver deck here, and I believe Death Rate's still the better start.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like chat's a little curious as to if we think Delver's going to be a little bit more common or less common as the metagame progresses now that Dig Through Time's been out.
Okay, yeah,
and
sure.
I feel like Dig Through Time was a lot better in these Miracles decks and Omni decks.
That's right.
However, Delver was pretty good against those decks in the first place.
Sort of. I think the big issue there is Dig Through Time was really good at overpowering the Delver deck. And absolutely you could top deck it, or like if you were playing sort of a graveyard-centric Delver deck, kind of like the Grixis Delver decks. Those decks were actually very good at maintaining control and then also being able to refill when the time came, like when they got swept. And so I think right now the Delver deck to play is not necessarily Bug Delver, but more Rug Delver.
I think Rug Delver is very good.
Rug Delver is going to just be absolutely insanity. Stifle, Wasteland, and especially when a deck like Rug Delver kind of goes away from the format, a lot of people aren't necessarily ready for Wooded Foothills Fetch, Tropical Island, Stifle. Right? That's just not a line that you have seen in a little while.
Absolutely.
And certainly you see Wooded Foothills, you're thinking Jund, you're thinking lands, you're thinking a lot of other decks that don't necessarily run Stifle.
Even Goblins, which has been seeing a lot of resurgence recently.
That's right, and Goblins obviously a deck that's very good against Miracles. Sorry, go ahead.
Back to the match at hand. Turn 2 Sylvan Library for Greg here with mana up with a Daze, and I believe he's got. It's a card behind Daze. Oh, it's a Brainstorm.
Yeah, it's a Brainstorm.
Storm.
And that's it's either a Golgari Charm or a Abrupt Decay.
I believe it's Golgari Charm.
Yeah.
I think I saw it earlier. And there's a blue card in there as well to pitch the Force.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of interaction.
Yeah. Certainly quite exciting here. I mean, like, Bug Delver is actually a very classical deck that Greg has played. Oh, the Wear Tear and the Daze! Woo!
That's a spicy meatball.
That was a little rough.
And Adam trying to maximize his mana there really punished him. He should have untapped, played around that Daze.
Yeah, really should have. And you know what's kind of crazy is that Greg boarded out. I thought Greg boarded out the Dazes on the draw.
On the play.
Or on the play, and then he boarded them on the draw. Like,
I guess it's possible he didn't board out all the Dazes.
That's certainly possible.
It's possible he maybe boarded out 2 Dazes.
That's a Terminus.
Yeah, he did draw a Terminus.
Oh, that's a mint.
Oh
no!
So we're seeing a lot of windmill spells here, and Adam can't be happy about that. He was expecting to bait the Daze out with the Wear Tear and then slam that Blood Moon.
He forgot the library trigger.
Oh, he did.
He forgot the library trigger.
That's really awkward.
He was really excited. He forgot the library trigger. Unbelievable.
Really intelligent level by Greg there, but it was so intelligent he forgot about everything else in play.
Like the actual card that he was attempting to protect. I think he realizes it now. He just leaned back.
Oh yeah,
he's pointing at it.
He's pointing at it. Oh, he's down on the table.
He knows.
So if you just draw a card for the turn, could you then say, I take 4 and now I'm going to finish resolving my Sylvan Library trigger? Do you think that's allowed?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I
imagine not.
I think that like once he untaps and he starts maneuvering around, casting Kingston Brainstorm, there's just no going back.
Yeah.
There's just no going back.
I imagine the fact if you don't announce it, you can't go back.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Oh,
looks
this
like
split sleeve.
Yeah, so Adam's going to fix that while Greg's in the tank here.
Flat tire.
Jordan, I just want to say that whenever Greg makes a mistake, laugh like that again, because he can hear it and it's just extra demoralizing.
That makes it even better.
Foreshadowing. And the funny thing about it is that Greg and I are actually playing this weekend in a show match.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, one of the things I'm looking forward to is kind of seeing some of the tech that he may or may not have. And I also obviously have a lot of decks. I have a wider range than he thinks I have.
Yes.
For decks that I'm going to play.
You're very well known for playing decks with Meddling Mage and Sun Titan. I've seen you play Grixis Delver, but I imagine you're someone who's been playing Legacy for so long. You just know how all the decks work, so you can pick up almost anything and play it.
Yeah, there's actually I don't want to say on because you might want to go back and watch.
I'm sure he's going to be watching the VOD of this match at least. Maybe not all of them, so you might be able to sneak that out later. But
yeah, there's a certain deck that I have in mind that is a little peculiar. But anyway, so resolving Brainstorm here is quite powerful, but I don't see Greg drawing a lot of, I don't see Adam drawing a lot of business that cards that he wants to draw here.
Yeah, it looks like he's got about 4 lands in his hand, and he's putting 2 of those back, but he's only got 4 cards in his hand now, and half of them are lands. So.
Yeah, so it's certainly not that good. That fetch land's going to have to certainly do a lot of work, and he really doesn't have a top either, too. So certainly in a very difficult spot. I feel like Adam thought his Blood Moon was going to be good, and I thought his Blood Moon was going to be good too. He baited a lot of it out with that Wear Tear, so that's kind of too bad.
One of the things I like to see here is that Greg, being an intelligent player, knows he missed the trigger once. He put a die on his deck to not forget.
That's right.
However,
yeah.
he didn't just replace the die, so I'm wondering if he knew he was going to fetch, so he just didn't want to have to put the die in and then take it off and then put it back on again.
Yeah.
But
I really hope
he puts the die back on after the fetch finishes resolving.
I really hope that Greg takes 8 next turn and Adam lightning bolts him or something crazy like that, or like Shower of Sparks.
I've always been kind of surprised that Miracles doesn't play some number of bolts. It just feels like such a clean answer. Like maybe Swords of Plowshares 5 and 6.
Oh, what is this?
That's a Miracle Terminus, it looks like.
In response to a Tarmogoyf? I'm just kidding.
I think probably Greg, while he was fetching, he's like, I'm going to play a Tarmogoyf and pass.
Right, and then he goes draw step, draw Terminus. Right. And the issue is that, Adam is actually at a very healthy life total. I think the only thing he needs to find an answer for is that Creeping Tar Pit right now. The other issue is that Greg has used a lot of his life total to draw extra cards, but they're on even footing right now. Like, it's not that...
I don't really think they're on even footing. I feel like Greg's got the upper hand here. He's got 4 very impactful spells, whereas Adam's holding 2 lands. So it's a little bit weaker on Adam's side of the board. I actually don't know the other cards in Adam's hand. It's been kind of hard to tell what they are.
Yeah, Adam kind of has that frenetic...
Yeah.
The frenetic movement that you get out of a lot of old-timey magicians,
Really hectic play. So it looks like he's got a Force of Will. It looks like he's got this Brainstorm he's going to cast right now.
Oh, my. And I wonder if this is main phase. I got to believe it is.
I believe we're still in his main phase.
Yeah.
Greg has an untap for the turn, so there's an Entreat the Angels.
Is that a Swords?
I believe that's a Rest in Peace and an Entreat the Angels.
I don't even know what cards he has. It's so hard to tell.
We're trying, guys.
Could anybody tell? Oh, the Entreat's
yeah.
way down there.
Oh, so that was a Tundra, not a Rest in Peace.
It could have been, though. It should have been, though.
Could have been.
It would have been, though.
Yeah, so it looks like Brainstorm, Force, Flooded Strand is Adam's hand right now. And then he put a land in Entreat.
Yeah.
So I think the Entreat's probably on top. He's going to Miracle that on main phase, and then play his fetch land, get rid of the other land.
And then just windmill everything. Just go for it. 3 mana for...
Ooh, Liliana the Veil. So Adam's got to think, do I want to force this? And the answer's probably not.
He's like shaking his head like he doesn't. Like it's not that big of a deal, and it certainly isn't. Because I mean, Greg's at 5. Greg's at 5. Like he did a lot of work for him already.
Oh, so it looks like the
Entreat's on top.
Yeah, Entreat's on top now. I imagine Adam's going to hold on to this land to have something to discard of that Liliana.
Yeah, I believe so. So he can keep Force of Will up. Well, actually, if he plays the land, he can discard the Brainstorm, and then he can hardcast Force of Will.
Oh, but he probably wants to use the Force of Will to protect that Entreat the Angels that he's going to Miracle next turn.
That's right. You know what? I'm not exactly sure. You are correct. I don't know exactly why he did that.
Yeah, so those aren't just black borders; those are foreign black borders.
Yeah, those are foreign black border dual lands. Yeah, I mean they're certainly not. I mean they're not beta, which is like beta is actually worth about 10 times as much as a revised dual land.
Something like that.
These are worth about, or sorry, I mean like 10 times is relative. Obviously, Underground C beta is worth like maybe like $5,000 or $6,000. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure the numbers. At this point, it's basically Monopoly money.
Yeah, something comical like that. But like foreign black border, like the foreign black border. The Bayou and the Tropical are actually worth about the same. I think they're worth about like $300 to $400. And then like that Underground C is worth about like $7 if it's German. Yeah, and all Greg's dual lands are going to be German too. So
yeah,
I mean,
likes the German. He likes Korean too.
Yeah, he likes Korean a lot. I gotta believe that Liliana play is gonna be Korean or Japanese.
I'm guessing it's not in English.
Yeah.
If you were, I would bet money on it, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
This is a family wholesome stream.
That's absolutely correct. And Greg, wow.
So it looks like Greg's going to get in here. I believe he saw a Spell Pierce off that. Yeah, it looks like Greg had a Spell Pierce with that Ponder, but he decided not to keep it. So Adam's going to end step this Entreat, finish resolving the Brainstorm, have to put the 2 cards in his hand back, and then Miracle Trigger goes on the stack. He'll be able to pay for it, and then Greg will get a chance to respond. It looks like Greg has a Force of Will.
Yeah.
So
the Force of Will obviously quite powerful here. I wonder how much he's going to pay for. He's going to get 1?
He's going to get 1 Angel here. Greg's only at 4, so
yeah.
1 Angel is enough for lethal.
Yeah.
And Greg's also tapped out, so he can't play something like Abrupt Decay. And Liliana's only sorcery speed, but I'm pretty sure this is pretty much game. Adam's got 0 cards left in hand versus the 5.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right on that Force of Will, absolutely. You're a smart man.
Yeah, I know how these matches come out, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm better at commentary than playing Magic, but I'm not bad at playing Magic, so my commentary game's clearly an A+, right?
Absolutely.
And Adam's going to play Brainstorm here, but there's not really anything he's looking for. He needs something like Planar Cleansing, I think is his out.
Planar Cleansing?
It doesn't even do it because there's a man land on the other side, side of the table. So.
Yeah, I think he really... Well, I mean, he's at 11, which is not a lot, but he certainly can... I mean, Entreat the Angels would do it.
Another Entreat off the top.
Yeah, another Entreat off the top, or like an actual, like an attacker or something like that. Like, anything that...
Lightning Bolt.
An end of turn Vendilion Clique would be great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Especially when Greg's trying to attack down Adam, so... I'm certainly kind of interested to see where this is going to go. I think Adam has mismatched ponders. That just hurts a little bit.
Yeah, he's just trying to troll us here on camera.
Yeah, certainly.
I know there are some people like doing that. Jonathan Hugh loves it.
Jonathan Hugh.
He plays whiteboard plans.
Jonathan Hugh.
Beatdown, Basic Islands.
Jonathan Hugh.
Mismatched brainstorms. What else
what a
was he
character.
mismatching? He had a lot of things mismatching.
Here's the
I think
issue.
he had all 4 different brainstorms.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he does. if Adam draws the what's it called here?
The Entreat.
The Entreat. He's actually in deep trouble.
I imagine he would know not to put it on top of his library and put it 1 underneath.
Well, he actually shuffled with his Ponder.
Oh,
so
I thought
he certainly would
Ponder.
not be able to. Yeah, he would not be able to control his fate. Pithing Needle on top.
Not really anything to name with this Pithing Needle yet. I feel like holding on to it's pretty safe. You also don't have to draw it this turn.
I mean, like he might just name Jace.
Yeah, maybe he wants to discard this Pithing Needle to the Liliana.
That's possible. I think he does want to get in for 3 though. Plus, oh wow, 6 is kind of a lot.
6 is where it's about to ult, and when your opponent has 0 cards in hand, ulting a Liliana is very bad for you. There's not a lot of ways to come back after that happens.
That's right.
Adam draws for the turn, and it looks like it's not a miracle spell. He would have jammed it out of it.
Yeah, he would have.
It's a land.
Okay. I wonder if he's gonna ult Liliana. I don't think he will. I actually don't think he will because I think he wants to. If he saves Liliana, then he could actually potentially be good versus a Monastery Mentor off the top.
Yeah, I think you potentially just keep on upticking Liliana.
Yeah.
I don't think destroying 3 lands is really what you want to do with Liliana.
Roop's at 5, and the other issue is that Swords of Plowshares off the top is not going to do it because he actually just upticks Liliana and gets rid of the card in hand, and then the plow. Once the plow gets, once you get rid of the plow, he certainly can't cast or he can certainly attack with Tarpit at that point.
Absolutely. So Greg's going to look here. I imagine he's going to uptick Lily and then activate simply in case Adam drew a Swords of Plowshares.
Yeah.
Or even something like a Snapcaster Mage.
That's right.
He's going to ult Liliana.
I don't agree.
I don't like ulting Liliana here either. I feel like it's very incorrect. This might punish Greg a lot here. If Greg attacks and then Adam had drawn a Vendilion Clique, that might just be game.
That certainly could be.
So it looks like he's going to put the white cards in one pile.
And white lands versus other lands.
White lands.
He's weaving.
I don't like this line at all.
I think you just take the Tindras. Oh,
I like this one. You have white mana.
But you can't entreat because entreat's double white.
That's very true. Creepy Tarpit is unblockable though, so entreat actually doesn't do anything here.
Is this Vendilion? I hope it's Vendilion.
Oh, it's not. Nothing EOT. That's too bad. It's a counterbalance, but the threats are already on the table, so it looks like Adam's going to scoop it up.
Good game. Good game. Crazy.
So yeah, that was a...
Those were some really interesting games. I felt like both players had opportunities to capitalize on certain aspects of the game.
Absolutely. That Sylvan Library was huge. And like I was saying in Game 1, the weave had been done a little bit differently and the Sylvan Library had resolved rather than the Term of Life.
That's right.
Greg potentially could have won that first game.
Yeah, and it really felt like if he actually had access to those extra additional cards, he would be able to power out of it or find even another Abrupt Decay, a card that he wasn't able to draw in the first 2 games.
Absolutely. So guys, that was round 1 here at Card Kingdom. There's only a couple minutes left in the round. That was a Miracles match, so they tend to go very, very long. So we're going to be going down for just a couple minutes, but we'll be back up for round 2, so stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome back to the booth, guys. I'm Josh Monks, again joined by Jordan Isaka.
How's it going, Josh?
Doing pretty well. You know, that was a pretty sweet round one. We got
really
a
was.
really spicy one set up for round two. So,
Oh my.
we have Tin Fins versus Shardless. And do you want to walk me through what Tin Fins is really quick?
Yeah, Tin Fins is a Reanimator deck that also plays Storm while it plays Reanimator.
Yeah, it also plays Children of Corliss. So, you know, you just hit kind of from all angles.
Yeah, you're just kind of doing it all. It's a really interesting deck. I think it was actually originally created or developed by Phaso Mutant, who's actually Greg Mitchell.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend from last round.
We just saw last round, and he's a big proponent supporter of the deck. He's played a lot of Gristlebrand combo decks, and by what I mean by Gristlebrand combo is it's not necessarily just getting Gristlebrand into play; it's getting Gristlebrand into play and then casting Tendrils of Agony. So
yeah, so what this deck is you try and Entomb or Careful Study. Somehow you get Gristlebrand in the graveyard, and then you play one of the 2-mana instant speed, bring something back for 1 turn spells.
That's right.
Shallow Grave or Goryo's Vengeance.
That's right.
And then from there you play as kind of a clunky Storm deck with the Gristlebrand in play, which turns out a lot better than most Storm decks, if you get to that point.
I mean, drawing 21 cards is pretty powerful. Drawing 41 cards is even better. If you were to think of it a lot like the modern version that plays Gristlebrand, Borgamos with, but it only gets to play Goryo's Vengeance. But this version gets to play a whole additional copy of Goryo's Vengeance.
Yes.
I believe it actually also plays 1 Reanimator, something like that. So it can just play a Reanimator style deck and kill them with Gristlebrand. But I mean, it's much better. It's much better put together. It has a lot. It's about as glass candy as the modern deck, but you do have to sidestep cards like Force of Will.
Yeah, you do get Sword of Force of Will, you get Daze, you get Cabal Therapy and Thoughtseize as well.
Right.
And so the cool thing about this deck is Children of Corliss is actually insane. So Children of Corliss is a 1-mana 1/1. When you sacrifice it, you gain life equal to the amount of life lost this turn. So what you can do with the deck is you can drain 3 times with Gristlebrand, draw 21 cards, reanimate Children of Corliss, sack it, gain 21 life, and then do it again. And what's really cool is if you maybe activate it once or twice, bring Children of Corliss into play, and then combo off again.
Yeah.
Children of Corliss counts all the life you've lost this turn, including life that you lost that you've already gained with 1 Children of Corliss.
Right.
So you can start doubling up on the life you gain with the deck.
Yeah, you can essentially go infinite with Children of Corliss, drawing and also discarding Gristlebrand or Emrakul. Yeah, and one of the other ways the deck wins is actually it'll discard an Emrakul and then it'll instant speed reanimate it and then 15 them, or I guess in that case it would be 22. Right? Yeah, 22 gaining 7. So obviously, a very powerful deck. I've actually lost to this deck on turn 1 and turn 2 a couple different times.
Yeah, it's a very resilient turn 1 combo deck, turn 2 combo deck.
It actually you can actually get hit by a Thoughtseize and combo at the same time. So
on the same turn,
yeah, it's pretty deadly. It's pretty dangerous. It's very important that Riley identifies what deck he's up against. But
Luke is very well known for playing Tin Fins.
Okay.
I don't know if Riley knows he's on Tin Fins, but if I was sitting against Luke, I would know he'd be playing Tin Fins.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. So, certainly a lot of different cards that I guess Riley's sitting on the left, I believe.
Oh, yeah, so it looks like those names are flipped, but
that's okay.
Yeah, we'll solve that in a
I'm just
second.
really excited to see some fast-paced legacy action. Obviously, Tin Fins and Shardless. Shardless is going to have a little tough time. Shardless is kind of a mid-range blue deck, and Tin Fins is a really fast combo deck. Yeah,
so it looks like Luke on the right went down to 6 and kept to 6, whereas Riley on the left is deciding to mulligan his hand, so he's gone down to 5.
Oh, wow. So it's double mulligans already.
Yeah.
I gotta believe that, with the new mulligan rule in place, Tin Fins is actually going to be quite advantaged.
Absolutely.
Yeah, combo
decks. Tin Fins is one of these hyperlinear combo decks, and so getting a free stride is basically a free draw at this point, because there are specific cards you're looking for. This gives you another chance to find them. I'm sure even a deck like Shardless is very happy to mulligan more aggressively with this scribe, but it's not as impactful as it will be for Tin Fins.
Right. And one of the kind of interesting things that you'll see with a deck like Shardless, their primary discard spell is Hymn to Torok, and if Hymn to Torok kind of goes awry and hits a Gristlebrand, you can end up in a lot of trouble where you'll help your opponent out by getting the Gristlebrand out of their hand, and then they can just go ahead and play Shallow Grave and kill you. Pretty interesting, though. It looks like Riley has the Wasteland in hand, and he's ready to go. But it looks like Luke's on the play, and Gitaxian Probe is going to go ahead and tell him what's up. He's going to realize that there's not a lot going on for Riley. He's got double Wasteland. He's a Shardless agent, so if the game does get to turn 3, which is actually quite long for Tin Fins, Riley's going to have some action or some play. But at this point, I gotta believe that Luke is kind of licking his chops, and he's ready to fight. You know, he's certainly ready to go in, because even on his turn 2 draw, or a turn 1 draw, turn 2 draw, there's not a lot of cards that Riley could draw that would stop Luke from comboing.
Absolutely. Was that a land? So
Yeah, it was
four lands or 3 lands?
Four lands, 2 of them wastelands, one Shardless Agent.
A Shardless Agent. Is that a Deathrite Shaman? Okay, I wasn't sure if that was a Deathrite or a Verdant Catacombs.
Yeah, and here we go.
So it looks like Luke's going to try and go off this turn. Looks like Lotus Petal and...
I don't know why, though.
Yggdrasil. I don't think he needs to. I feel like you just Cabal Therapy, eat the Deathrite.
I guess if he actually has the full combo, you might as well go for it. You know?
It certainly looks like.
Okay, he just
So he's going to Cabal Therapy himself here, get Gristlebrand, and now with 2 mana floating, he's going to cast the Shallow Grave, bring back the top creature card in his graveyard, which in this case is the only creature card in his graveyard.
That's right.
This Gristlebrand.
Right.
And he's at 18 here, so he's probably going to draw 14 cards.
Yeah, and the other issue is that, you know, Luke having the Lotus Petal in play is actually extremely huge. The idea here that, you know, he doesn't have a land drop, but if he does hit the Children of Corliss, he will be able to go for another, you know...
Yeah, he'll reset his life total back to 20 because it counts the Gitaxian Probe as well.
That's right. Or he'll add 20 life to his life total, I guess.
Well,
that's right,
he'd have to be at 0 to do that.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, he's going to attack with his Gristlebrand as well. Riley is literally just twiddling his thumbs.
He's like, oh, that's a pretty cool card.
Yeah, that's great. You know,
pretty neat.
Yeah, turn 1. You know, of course, Gitaxian Probe increasing the value or the ability of a deck like Tin Fins. And it's kind of crazy because if Luke was to see that Riley had some defense, then he could have just played that Cabal Therapy at his opponent.
So there's a Children of Corliss. That's a legend. Riley's actually just going to pick it up. He knows how this interaction works.
He's done.
So that was an incredibly quick game 1.
He's done.
Riley on a mulligan to 5 there is not really what you're looking for to combat a deck like Tin Fins.
And it's kind of too bad because, you know, Shardless Agent or Shardless Bug is sort of this deck that a lot of people believe is a really powerful and a very good deck. And to be honest, it is pretty good, but it does have some glaring weaknesses versus combo. I mean, you do get to play Force Will, but like that's one of the big issues is that even though you're playing this mid-range deck that wants 50-50 matchups versus a lot of people, that when you do get over-leveraged versus a really fast combo deck like Fins, you just can't keep up.
Yeah, you overall have a 50-50 against the field, but the way you do that is you have a much better chance than other control decks versus the creature-oriented strategies.
That's right.
While losing percentage points against these degenerate combo decks.
Right.
And Tin Fins is probably the most degenerate combo deck in the format. That's what I'm going to say. I think it is.
I think it's the most degenerate, reasonable combo deck.
Okay.
And by reasonable, I mean I'm taking out decks like Belcher. I'm taking out decks like Oops All Spells.
Yeah, those decks just can't compete. You just can't play those in an 8-round tournament and expect to win more than half your matches. That's
right. You know, but Fins is certainly a deck where you can control you can control whether or not you lose the game. You know, you don't have to go for it like right off the bat, and you can certainly sit around and fuel your hand and sculpt your hand. We saw right there, you know, Luke went ahead and cast Gitaxian Probe and just decided whether or not he should go for it or not.
And he saw a window.
Yeah, and to be honest, like let's say Riley was sitting on a full hand and he had double Force Will. Well, it turns out double Force Will is actually not very good there because he just gets Cabal Therapy, right?
Yeah, gets to force his Cabal Therapy away. Luke, however, wouldn't have a way to get that sprint in the yard if that was the case.
That's true. That's true. But it certainly gives Luke some flexibility. Whereas, you know, a deck like Oops All Spells or Belcher really just says, you know, I'm going to go for it, and if you have it, I lose. Right? So certainly some interesting implications, and I gotta believe that Luke certainly knows what's up with Riley. You know, he saw the Shardless Agent. Not certain what Riley can bring in here, though. I gotta believe it's going to be some graveyard hate.
Surgicals,
maybe.
I saw. Golgari Charm, is that the one that eats graveyard, or is that Junk Charm?
Golgari, no. Actually, I think it's Rakdos Charm. That sounds weird.
Oh, yeah, Rakdos Charm as well.
I know that because Rakdos Charm is actually the card that beats me in my RTR limited draft deck that plays Psychic Spiral.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I've killed a couple of people with Rakdos Charm. Twin players, they'll make infinite tokens and attack. I'm going to have every creature deal 1 damage to its controller, including your 3 trillion tokens.
Yeah, and that's you, and you're dead.
What's really funny is I've had someone have more life than me combo off, and I asked him how much. He said, does it matter? And I go, just tell me a number. And he's like, all right, 8 million. And I'm like, perfect.
take 8 million.
He could have killed me, but he chose not to.
Kind of funny. It's always the cards you don't expect. And what's cool about being a brewer, you know, somebody who's willing to bring in cards that are flexible like Rakdos Charm, your opponent doesn't really see them coming, and you get extra percentage points off that. You know? So it's one of the interesting things about Modern. You know, Modern's kind of I suppose it's a fairly undiscovered format in terms of the decks and the counters to decks that you have available.
I think that the sideboard is very underdeveloped in Modern, but the main decks are pretty much solid at this point.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that separates Legacy from Modern is that in Legacy, a lot of your sideboard is going to be solved. You know, so Luke is going to be able to believe, or is going to be able to foresee Graveyard Hate, Static Answers.
If I'm playing against Shardless, I'm going to assume my opponent has probably 4 cards.
Yes.
The split between those numbers, I'm not sure, but there's going to be either Grafdigger's Cage, Nihil Spellbomb,
yes.
Surgical Extraction, or I've even seen some decks playing Fairy Macabre.
Oh yeah, Fairy Macabre's a good one. And the real reason why, you know, we're talking about a lot of different answers that Riley could have versus Tin Fins, but the big issue is that a lot of times you can't actually play spells that cost 2 or less when you're playing Shardless.
Yeah.
So Fairy Macabre kind of is your only answer to graveyard decks. And
However, the proactive side of these 1-mana artifacts is still very good.
Yeah, no, that is true.
Cascading early into a Nihil Spellbomb is fine against combo decks. So it's like, yeah, sure, go ahead and go off. I got this Nihil Spellbomb. I'm going to interact with you.
Yeah, that's right. And that's certainly very nice, but you'll never see, you know, a Shardless deck have a Flusterstorm in their sideboard or like a Spell Pierce, which is really too bad because those cards are certainly very good.
They would really like to have them.
They would.
If they could.
They would. And so, I mean, like, I know I actually bash on Shardless Agent and Shardless decks quite a bit. I feel like Hymn to Torok is kind of a luck-based card. You know, Shardless Agent is also kind of a luck-based card. I mean, like, certainly sometimes it's not.
Yeah, I think they got a lot better with the Dig Through Time banning.
I believe so
playing
as well.
Hymn to Torok when your opponent has 1 Dig Through Time and 6 cards that fuel Dig Through Time in their hand is really bad to him them.
That's right. That's right. But here comes...
So Riley's going to start out with a Thoughtseize here, and this is pretty much the optimal start. Thoughtseize are Deathrite Shaman.
Right.
So this is a hand with a lot of cantrips out of Luke. He's got an Entune, he's got 2 Ponders, there's a Brainstorm, he's got a Dark Ritual, and a Thoughtseize of his own.
Yeah. It's actually like a very good hand for Luke to get Thoughtseized by. You know, the only card that I think Riley's going to auto take the Entomb, but it's just like there's so many other cards that Luke can cast on his turn 1 and turn 2 that it really, and like, I guess he already has the explosiveness with a card like Dark Ritual. So even if he is able to top deck, you know, and then ponder a few times, the Dark Ritual is going to allow him to propel his, you know, speed up his chance of going off.
Absolutely. And so really what Riley wants to do is Thoughtseize the top 6 cards of Luke's library. You're not allowed to do that, sadly.
Yeah, and kind of an interesting issue with, you know, I actually really don't like playing black, and that's part of one of the reasons why I don't like it. I feel like the cantrips are so powerful in Legacy that, you know, casting a Thoughtseize, while it was relatively powerful, there was just so much redundancy in Luke's hand.
Absolutely. If that had been another Brainstorm, you're like, I guess I'm taking one of the 4 effects you have in your hand that isn't even a card.
That's right.
It's a card that replaces itself, so it's a 1-for-1 still, but it's not... You're not happy about it.
Right.
It's just more versatility of your opponent.
You know what's interesting is that when Luke went ahead and cast his Gitaxias Probe on turn 1, he saw a double Wasteland. Yeah. And so it might actually affect... He was considering going to get a basic land, actually.
The thing is he really wants to cast those blue cantrips, and that's a Bloodstained Mire.
Yeah.
So he can't get a blue source unless he gets a duel here.
Certainly really awkward, and I guess he actually had another fetch in his hand, and it might have been a little bit of...
I didn't see another fetch.
Yeah, I think he has a Scalding Tarn, but it might have been just a little bit of an issue of I think it's at the end. Maybe he just doesn't have it.
I don't think he has a Scalding Tarn in his hand. I think he drew a Cabal Therapy for the turn. That's the card on the far left.
That's right. Pretty fascinating here. I gotta believe it's gonna be Ponder. I mean, Ponder is just like it's so good. It's so good, especially from a combo deck.
Yeah, you want to play Brainstorm while you have a fetch land in play. So there's a Pithing Needle, which is a really good answer to both Nihil Spellbomb and the 1/2 Deathrite Shaman
or Tumult Script as well. Yeah,
Tumult Script certainly on the downswing though. Nihil Spellbomb, it's pretty much like a strictly better version of it. Is the way I look at it.
I think the issue though is that if you really wanted to have, I think Crypt is more of a hate card, and then Nihil Spellbomb is more of just a good card. Does that sound kind of weird?
So I really like Nihil Spellbomb against Dig Through Time decks because it replaces itself and it stops them from digging.
Yeah, it's certainly a very good card. I think the idea with Crypt is that Crypt is 0, so you can have like 0 and Hold and Spell Pierce in the event that you're worried about like getting just destroyed by a Reanimator.
So you could potentially Thoughtseize them on turn 1 and then play the Tormod's Crypt or play it with Counter Magic backup. I just think drawing a card in these mid-range decks is actually a very good deal.
Absolutely. It's certainly very powerful. I think another card that I like a lot is Surgical Extraction, because it's 0 mana.
Yeah.
And so I can actually cast that. Like I can cast, like let's say my opponent's attempting to go off, I can cast it in response to see exactly what I have to fight through. You know, if I have a Vendilion Click, is the Vendilion Click going to be good? Or if I have Force Wheel, is Force Wheel going to be good, right? And I have to figure out exactly how to maneuver against my opponent.
You want to play Surgical when you have some knowledge of your opponent's hand, like when you thought see something, see multiples, and then Surgical the other copy.
Yeah,
very powerful.
That's certainly very good. Another effect that's very, very powerful as well. I just like looking at. I mean, like I don't. This is gonna sound really weird. I don't like Gitaxian Probe, but I do like Surgical and I do like Click. Mm-hmm. I think they just kind of like. I think
Gitaxian Probe doesn't actually change your opponent's hand at all, so it's just replacing itself. And in a lot of matchups, you can kind of figure out what your opponent has. So it's almost a little bit of a crutch for a lot of decks. Mm-hmm. It gains a lot more power when you're playing it with synergistic cards. Like if you go turn 1 Gix Probe into Cabal Therapy.
Oh yeah, that was dirty out of the Grixis decks. That was really powerful.
Yes. Or even Young Pyromancer into Gitaxian Probe. Like things that generate extra value on top of that Gix Probe are very, very good with the card. But it's not a card you want to just like throw in a deck.
Right. And so here we actually see the Tin Fins players tanking quite a bit. And you know what's one of the interesting things about the amount of time you exert to think about your options? Mm-hmm. You know, it would seem like he could just fire off the Ponders right away and it would be no problem. But the reason why he's taking so long to think about it is, you know, like if the Tin Fins player actually has a window of time where his combo is going to be good, and if the Charlotte's player draws too many cards or gets too many hits in with his Tarmogoyf, the combo is actually not that good anymore.
Yeah, it's not going to do a whole lot.
You know, Tin Fins actually needs a certain amount of life initially to go off and to combo off. And if he starts his combo where he can only draw 7 cards instead of 14, or there's some other issues going on with that, there's certainly implications where he could get stuck in his combo, right? And he wouldn't actually be able to win the game.
Yeah, sometimes they just put a Gristlebrand into play, attack you, and then they can't even gain life because they need to have the life gain from that to survive another turn.
Right,
and so there's a lot of situations like that where they have the pieces, but they're too low a life to be able to do anything.
Right. It's a lot like Ad Nauseam in a sense. And the other issue is that Ad Nauseam, right, when you start from a low life total, you can just actually kill yourself sometimes, right? And
sometimes you have 10 life and you need to hit like 2 LEDs or a Lotus Petal and an LED,
right.
And if you don't hit them right away, you just have to stop when you can't cast any of the spells you use.
Right, and you have to either hope that your opponent doesn't have like lightning bolts or something like that. Like it's random. It's very strange. It's a very strange deck to play because your life total actually becomes a resource that's very important.
It's aggressively using its life total, which means it's a limited resource. A lot of decks don't have life total as a limited resource. They operate the same at 1 life as they do at 19.
Yeah.
And so when you attack their life total, it's a resource they run out of.
Right. In the same sense that having big graveyard is another resource that they can run out of too, right? A card like Past in Flames would certainly mean that would be an issue.
So it looks like we're going to see a Shardless here into a Hymn to
Turok. Oh man,
so that was really good for Riley. However, he has a Ancestral Visions in his hand. I'm a little bit surprised he didn't save a Brainstorm, potentially wait to Brainstorm to set up that Ancestral Visions, but I think he says, I really need to put a clock on you, I need to kill you fast, and so I just need to tap out every turn and play my threats.
Right.
I think there was a decision there for Riley, and I think it paid out very, very well for him in the end.
Right. I believe it was the correct play to make. And the funny thing about it, though, is that he didn't know it was going to get flipped over with his Shardless, and he also doesn't know what he's going to get discarded with his Hymn to Turok.
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity where Riley would actually hit the Gristlebrand on the discard.
He gets a second Entomb.
I don't get that. Why didn't he just cast it?
Yeah, that seems a little greedy. If I was Luke, I would have jammed that Entomb in response.
Yeah, I don't understand because then it gets your Gristlebrand in the correct zone that you want it to be in, right? So now essentially he could have untapped, drawn, and then played Goryo's Vengeance and won the game, which he just drew.
However, he would have had to fetch to play that Entomb, so he probably wouldn't have drawn this Goryo's Vengeance. It's important to know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, like, I suppose I understand what you're saying.
He knew the Goryo's was on top, and so probably what he wanted to do here was untap, play Dark Ritual.
Oh, and he was trying to fade discarding the... Yeah. And that's certainly, the power of Hymn to Turok is sometimes it just hits what you want.
Sometimes
is that an Entomb?
That's another Entomb. So I think he can actually win here. He can...
Oh my!
He can draw. Oh, he's got a land too, so he doesn't even need to fetch. I don't think that Luke can lose this game actually.
Well, the actual one of the things that we were talking about earlier is that your life is a life total, right? Or your life is a resource. And Luke is actually at 14.
He's at 14 here, so what he can do is he can...
I think he wants to fetch a white source here. I think he wants to get white.
I don't think he needs to worry about white, because what he can do
is... Children.
Well, he has Lotus Petals as well. And he can reanimate the guy as well. I guess he's going to be tapping out anyway, so it doesn't.
Well,
really
I mean,
matter.
like, what I was worried about is
I think
he's
he's
only,
gonna scrub
he's
land.
only at 14. Because I mean, like, he can only draw 4 twice, or he can only draw 14.
Well,
cards
what he's going to do is
instead
he's
of
going to draw 7. He's going to hit with Gristlebrand. He's going to draw another 7, and hopefully hit another Entomb or a Children of Corliss. Get that into play, gain 14, and then he can keep going off that
Yeah,
way.
but I think with his Underground Sea in hand, I think he just wants to shore up his options and make it so the white man is out of the way.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
He doesn't really need to cast any more blue spells.
Yeah, I don't think there's any cost to it.
He wants to protect. He's
Yeah.
worried about protection.
He does have a Dark Ritual in hand still, so I believe
he
he's
wanted to
going to be fine.
protect. He wanted to protect right there. That was a pretty insane draw from Luke. That brainstorm was just
Yeah,
magnificent.
brainstorming into the Entomb is exactly
All
what
right.
he wanted to do. So we're going to see this land.
Did you see
Dark
that
Ritual.
pause?
Yeah.
That pause.
He's like, I get to do this, right? This you don't
Or
have
you
any
know what?
other
He
interaction?
might go for Emrakul here.
Oh, Risley at 15.
That's right.
Wow.
Oh.
5 permanents in play, 15
That
life.
was
You're
so
gonna be killed.
insane. Oh my god.
What an insane match out of Tin Fins. That was a really clean finish.
Yeah, that
we were trying
really
to
was.
figure out
That was
how
a
we win.
flawless victory. That was exactly at 15. Hits him exactly to 0. Unbelievable game. Unbelievable game. Wow. You know, it was kind of crazy because we were talking about the different ways that Luke could combo. I didn't realize that Riley was at 15, and it was just a clean shot, 15 to the dome.
Absolutely. So that was a really quick finish by Tin Fins, 2-0, and the deck, obviously, it's a degenerate combo deck, so it's going to go
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
We still have 30 minutes left in the round, so we're going to go down for a couple minutes. We're going to find another match, move that to the feature match. We'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned.
Can I talk? Really quickly, I was just going to talk a little bit about Tin Fins. You know, Tin Fins is basically the only deck in Legacy where you have a little bit of control or a lot of bit of control, and you can kill your opponent, you know, within the first 2, 3, 4 turns of the game. And one of the things that's really interesting about it is you saw Riley was playing Shardless Bug, and Shardless Bug seems like a very good deck, especially to a modern player. You get to play Hymn to Torok and Shardless Agent and Tarmogoyf and Liliana the Veil, and that seems like a very powerful interaction. But the real issue with Shardless Bug is that while you are able to get card advantage, you certainly don't draw cards that are on the same power level as Gristlebrand.
Absolutely.
Right?
You're
And
not
so-
doing anything unfair.
Right, and that's like one of the big issues that you have with the deck. And even though like it seems like Riley's able to play these really efficient cards, you know, at the end of the day, this is Legacy, and Siege Rhino just isn't enough. Siege Rhino ain't enough.
There are some decks that play Siege Rhino in Legacy. There's a lot of Birthing
God.
Pod decks
There's
that are
just-
running around.
It's
They're not
not
very
enough,
good,
and
but-
that's why decks that play Hymn to Torok get punished.
Yeah, they get punished.
They get punished, man.
The way
It's
that
so
I always
good.
look at Shardless is kind of like the Jund for Modern. If you like Modern Jund a lot, you'll really like Shardless and Legacy. They feel very similar.
That's right.
You have a lot of even matchups, and the cards all trade very, very well. And then you have a couple card advantage engines to help you bridge kind of that gap from going from 1-for-1 to winning.
Right, and you also feel like you have a little bit more control than Jund or than like another deck in Modern. But the other issue is that, I mean, at the end of the day, you're still playing 3 mana 2/2s and 2 mana 4/5s.
Yeah, they're only so good. And while
That's
Shardless
right.
Agent into Ancestral Visions is certainly like breaching the point of you're doing something unfair, it's not necessarily winning the game unfair. I don't think it's anywhere close to needing a banning or anything like that.
Yeah,
but,
it's certainly not.
That's kind of the degenerate part of Shardless, and I don't know if it matches up very well against the incredibly degenerate decks. The further you go on that axis, the less resilient you
That's
are.
right. That's right.
But the more velocity you have. So you
Yeah,
kind of have to decide.
yeah.
And Shardless is like right in the middle of all of these decision points.
Yeah.
If you were to graph all the fairness and unfairness,
That's a really
Shardless
good.
in the
That's a
middle.
really good example. All right, for all you watchers out there, welcome to Legacy. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a great format, and you know we get to do things incredibly unfair, like putting a Gristlebrand into play on turn 1. But we also get to do very fair things, like Thoughtseize You into Tarmogoyf, which is an insane play in Modern. It's an insane play in Legacy.
It is. It really is. And something that's very hard to beat. Hymn to Torok is a card that I think if it was legal in Modern, they would just ban
Oh
that
yeah,
right away.
that card would have to be banned if it was in Modern. The problem with Modern, looking at it that way, is that almost all the cards in Modern are 1-for-1s. There's not a lot of card advantage cards. The new card Painful Truth is really, I think it's going to have a lot of impact. If you're
draw 3,
watching,
right?
yeah, if you're watching
Yeah.
the Modern No Banlist event, Greg Mitchell, who we had on round 1, he was actually playing kind of like a hate deck that had 3 Painful Truths in it, and most of the time we're like, these guys are in top deck mode. They each have about 3 cards in hand. What's going to be the nut top deck? And it turns out Greg's like, oh, I'm just going to draw Ancestral Recall and cast Ancestral Recall.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's actually quite good. And card advantage cards in Modern are certainly a little bit harder to find.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them.
They did ban Ancestral Visions, and if Ancestral Visions was legal in Modern, oh boy.
I feel like all of the blue decks would be playing Ancestral Visions if they could.
I think they would just be playing blue decks instead of all these Siege Rhino.
Yeah, it combats Siege Rhino very well. However, I think WotC really wants Modern to be this format where you're attacking with creatures and then also generate value with spells.
That's right.
But I think Painful Truth is going to see some Modern play. There's not an effect like that. Read the Bones is as close as it gets, and Read the
it's
Bones
not
is,
good enough.
Read the Bones is very good in Standard because the card quality in Standard is a lot lower.
That's
and
right.
So you're looking for specific things. So that Scry is worth more than a card. But in Modern, all the cards are at like very comparable power levels. They're all insanely good. And so you just want the number of them. And if you're playing things like Liliana as well, you just want cards in your hand to discard to Liliana.
Right. That's a very good point, because if you look at the differentiation or the differences between the different formats, if you look at Modern has kind of having a very flat power level between cards, and then Legacy you can either play a deck with a flat level power level, or you can play a deck with very sporadic power level like Tinfins.
Yeah, it's
the deck you just saw.
A deck's a lot more degenerate, a little bit less consistent, and the cantrips in this format allow you to play decks like that and find the things you need.
Right.
Like we just saw, Luke with that Brainstorm into everything he needed was awesome.
Yeah.
And so it looks like we got another match set up here. So we have Esper Stoneblade, which is...
We have Esper Stoneblade versus Miracles, Shan Yu versus Joe Becker. Shan Yu, of course, a very proficient player in the Seattle area. Probably the best. I mean, I would put him up there.
He's certainly up there. I never want to sit across from him.
If
I have to play against him, he's one of the few people I will offer a draw against.
Yeah. I've played tested with this guy on a couple occasions. He is just a magnificent player. He's got all the right reads. He's got all the right plays. You guys are in for a treat, because this guy is certainly a cold-blooded killer, and he's certainly somebody that I would pick to go very deep in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, I think he's going to do very well. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't day 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has enough buys. I think he does have his buys already. I feel like he probably won one of the first GPTs in the area, but it's possible that... I know that he's in grad school right now to be a surgeon, so he hasn't had enough time to play.
To be a surgeon. I think we should just call him Dr. Yu.
Dr. Yu?
Yeah, a Dr. Yu on taps. Yeah. Pretty exciting. Obviously Joe Becker representing a Stoneblade variant, Stoneblade deck. And Stoneblade is very similar to Shardless in that the card quality is relatively flat. Stoneblade has a lot of good cards that are very efficient and very good at what they do. It actually, Stoneblade has the same issues that Shardless has as well, where it has a lot of cards that answer certain threats, but have trouble going long versus other very specific decks.
And so this is a great hand for Sean. It looks like he's got 2 counterbalance, he's got 2 lands, he's got a Brainstorm, he's got a couple fetches as well to help manipulate. I think that's everything you want in a Miracles deck.
It really is.
And Joe's hand, it looks like he had a Jace, he's got an Engineered Explosives. I believe I saw a Brainstorm as well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. This is certainly these 2 opening hands are looking very good for both players. So I'm very excited to see what happens, because Thoughtseize rolling off the top.
Yeah, we're going to see a Thoughtseize, and I imagine it's going to take that Brainstorm. I'd want to take Counterbalance, but then your opponent just plays the second one, which means you're not really doing anything.
Joe is probably not too sad about taking the Brainstorm right there. I mean, the fetch land really increases the power level of the Brainstorm, and the redundant counterbalances would have been really nice to shuffle away one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sean would try and resolve the Counterbalance and then Brainstorm the other one away, especially because these Esper decks, they don't have a lot of answers for... Counterbalance.
Do you know what that card is?
Is it Staticaster?
Yes, is it Staticaster?
Very good MVP. I haven't actually seen Joe's list, but I assume that there was things like Lingering Souls that were there, and so Sean brought it in to answer this one.
That's right. And I gotta believe that Joe is probably not going to take a Counterbalance here. He's probably going to be Brainstorm.
I would take a Brainstorm here.
That's certainly the best
I don't
card.
think the decision is very hard either.
And it's kind of weird, because we just talked about how Brainstorm was a card that makes the power level of your hand very flat. But in this case, with Miracles, Brainstorm is actually your best setup card. Yeah, the card that you want to have in your hand.
So I think that's a Hallowed Fountain? It's possibly doesn't own another Tundra,
yeah, that's
so he's
fine.
got to play one. It's not a big deal. People always make this big deal about how you have to have fetches, or you have to have duels in Legacy, and honestly, 2 points is very not relevant. There's a few matchups that's really important in.
Right,
this
Rug
is not
and Burn.
one of them. This is a matchup where you can deal 18 damage to yourself with a Sylvan Library against Miracles and be fine.
Yeah, Sean's drawn another Counterbalance.
So that's the 3rd Counterbalance. I imagine there's going to be an Engineered Explosives here on 2. and it's just going to sit and play until Joe wants to resolve something.
That's right. You know, it's kind of interesting because the Engineered Explosives also scares away implications like Rest in Peace, and Rest in Peace could be a very good card versus Lingering Explosives as well. So the Engineered Explosives on 2, now assuming that Joe does go for it, but I think the other issue is that, you know, if Joe does go for the Engineered Explosives on 2, he does leave himself open. I mean, like, he does leave himself open to having, you know, Sean will keep the second explosives or the counterbalance in hand.
Exactly, but that's what I mean. Joe is just going to sit with that Engineered Explosives and play for maybe 4 or 5 turns.
That's right.
Until he says, I'm going to resolve this Jace next turn. End step, I'm going to blow up EE on 2.
Right.
Untap, jam this Jace when you don't have counterbalance in play.
Right.
And you can play a counterbalance next turn. That's fine with me. But I'll have a Jace in play when you play that counterbalance.
That's right.
And I imagine that's going to happen pretty soon. Sean, however, did draw a Vendilion Clique, which is going to be really big here.
Oh,
next
yeah.
turn. Joe wants to resolve a Jace next turn. It looks like he's going to resolve a Jace this turn, actually. He's going to fetch some duels, tap out.
I really don't like going for the Jace here.
You don't think so? What do you want to do instead?
I just want to sit.
Okay.
Because I feel like when Sean untapped and had a lot of lands in play, like he certainly gives him the opportunity. It gives Sean the opportunity to go ahead and react to that Jace.
Yeah, Sean does have this Vendilion Clique, which is going to be a very clean answer
Yeah.
for Jace. I imagine Jace is going to brainstorm, and Sean's going to flash in a Vendilion Clique.
In response?
Oh, he's going to do it in response.
Yeah,
I
to
kinda
the
like this
brainstorm.
line,
Yeah,
too.
so he has to burn both of his Force of Wills there. And Sean, you know, kind of in a pretty bad spot here because now Sean really doesn't have a good answer for the Jace the Mind Sculptor. You know, a card like Pyroblast he would certainly like to have, but he just doesn't have it right now. So Sean's got to figure out what to do, what he wants to do to answer this Jace in short order. Otherwise, Jace can certainly run away with the game with some pretty good card advantage. You know, and another card that gives good advantage is Lingering Souls. Joe can actually pressure Sean's life total and also pressure the total number of cards in hand with Jace by brainstorming.
Every turn, yeah.
Right. So all of a sudden, you know, Sean's going to need to answer the Lingering Souls and also answer the Jace at the same time. Yes. And that's one of the reasons why having attacking Miracles from a couple different angles is so good.
You burn all of the threats out of their hand simply because a lot of the cards in Miracles, they have very redundant cards to get you to countertop, and then a lot of very situational answers on top of that.
I like this. I sort of like this play. Joe's going to go ahead and see if the coast is clear with his Jace.
And so there's a 2 on top, so I imagine if he plays an Engineered Explosives, X is going to be 3, but Sunburst is going to be 2.
Yeah, that's
Is he
right.
just playing this for 2? That
He's
was a
going for
Snapcaster
2.
Mage. There's a Snapcaster Mage on
No,
top.
he put it on the bottom. He bottom.
He did? Oh, okay, I didn't see it going bottom.
But he has the fetch land.
Yeah, so he'll be able to fetch in response.
The
2
first
triggers on the
trigger,
stack.
right? The first trigger is going to get revealed, and the second trigger he's going to go ahead and see if he can flip another 2 to stop this counterbalance. And the funny thing about it is, even though he has the explosives, he's got another counterbalance in hand.
Yes.
So it's almost like Joe's going to kind of get stuck.
Yeah, Joe doesn't know there's the third counterbalance. He only knows the 2, so he's got to say like, oh sweet, there's a pretty good window here for me to resolve this Engineered Explosives to get rid of. I believe it's a Lingering Soul.
Oh, that's a Lingering Soul. Okay, yeah. So he pops it, but the thing is, he pops it at sorcery speed.
I don't like popping at sorcery
I
speed.
really don't.
What are you playing around?
Because now Sean's just going to go ahead and rejam. Welcome to the party. I got another one. Yeah, did you see Joe's hand? Did you see Joe's hand? Just like, what? What is this?
And Joe could have had an entire turn with no counterbalance in play for Sean if he waited till his end step.
That's right. Kind of crazy because now, I mean, Joe also knows that he has the Staticaster, so his Lingering Souls isn't actually that good right now.
No, it's not. Unless I'm going to find out what that top's on. It's possibly on Staticaster. I imagine he's going to name top.
Oh yeah, it probably would be on Staticaster actually. That's probably one of the cards that I would assume. Untaps. Joe untaps. He's got 5 in play. He's got another Needle, and.
So that Pithing Needle is on top, which is an intelligent name. I mean, it's always good to do that against Miracles, even if they don't have a top, because eventually they'll draw one. But
oh, is that a Brainstorm?
That's a 1 on top.
That's going straight to the bottom.
I would put Brainstorm on the bottom.
I would put Brainstorm to the bottom every time versus a Miracles deck.
Yeah, that's just not a card you can let them have.
Oh, he's going for Souls. This is I don't like it.
I don't like Souls at all.
I don't
he
like
doesn't
it
have
either.
an answer for the Staticaster,
Yeah,
so
he
he's just going to get killed.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets greedy like he was greedy on the explosives, he's going to flash it back. He's going to flash it back, and he's going to run to some problems.
But he knows about the Staticaster. He didn't know about the third counterbalance.
Yeah, I suppose. But I bet you I don't know. I feel like his inexperience is just going to take. Okay, he didn't go for it, and he's just going to get shot. That's I guess.
I don't know. That seemed like a waste.
It really did.
Sean's going to play a fetch land and probably shit back. That Staticaster is 0 power, so it can't actually pressure that Jace at all.
Right. I want him to bounce the Staticaster. I want him to do
so
Meddling
he's got
Mage.
a Meddling Mage.
My favorite card.
He could jam Meddling Mage here, name Staticaster, and then bounce it with Jace.
Yeah, it would be pretty epic.
That'd be a really cool line. I don't think that's the one he's going to take, but It looks like he upticked Jace, so that's what he's going to do
I
here.
think he's just going to lose to Jason the Mind Sculptor here.
Yeah, he's going to play a Meddling Mage. Counterbalance is going to trigger, but
Dude,
I believe Joe
me.
left that on top,
Yeah.
so Sean's like, yeah, that's fine. I don't really want to crack my fetch here.
I love me some Meddling Mage. You don't even, do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know?
It's pretty
Every time I he's pretty metal. Every time I play blue white, I actually will always auto jam 3. It's just like it's a really good threat. It attacks and it also can cut your opponent off of a spell.
It's a very skill testing card in Legacy.
Yeah.
I feel like it and Cabal Therapy are two cards that are you need to know a lot about the metagame and a lot about that specific matchup. What's
right.
important, what's not, what threats you have, what answers your opponent has, and how to play them properly. And
I'm not certain why Sean didn't reveal for that Meddling Mage. I mean, he did fetch EOT. Maybe he just
could have
wanted
fetched
to
in
keep it.
response. He wants to keep it a secret.
Yeah, maybe he wants. Yeah,
doesn't want to let Joe know what card he's going to be drawing,
yeah.
which I can understand.
It could be anything. It could even be a boat.
I like putting boats on top of my library.
I certainly do too, especially when those boats are called Treasure Cruise.
Yeah.
Not
Boating
bad.
for value.
Yeah, certainly.
If Treasure
Joe-
Cruise was legal, do you think Miracles would play it? If it could play both, either Treasure Cruise or Dig Through Time?
I think it just plays Dig Through Time. I think it wants the card quality advantage.
Yeah, makes sense.
Card quality is huge. Oh, there's the third counterbalance.
That's fourth, number 4.
Sorry,
That's
sorry,
counterbalance
fourth.
number
Yeah, my
4,
bad.
and top number 0. So
Top number 0. Dude, it's like your game that when you were playing counterbalance.
Yeah.
And you were playing Sorcery Speed.
yeah, I was playing Preordains. I was getting flips though. I knew how to play that deck.
You were setting it up.
So there's a
Oh, is that
Pyroblast
a
on
Pyroblast?
This is the last turn where Pyroblast is relevant too. So he's
Wow.
gonna bottom that and hope that nothing gets resolved here.
Joe has bottomed a lot of bullets. And
Yeah.
the thing that sucks is that, Sean's in the tank about fetching. I guarantee you fetching is not, well, I don't think fetching's that. Oh, he wanted to see.
Yeah, he
he
wanted
just
to
wanted
know.
to see.
Joe's probably like, oh, of course. That's going to the bottom.
Well, I guess the idea is that Sean is considering the number of times Joe has sent cards to the bottom of his deck. I mean, Sean has shuffled his deck a few different times, but
And so that's a snap, but I don't think there's any cards.
There's a brainstorm.
Oh yeah, you can
There's
brainstorm.
a brainstorm.
I like the blind flip. Here's an answer for Jace. Oh, it's actually not.
Oh,
So
counterbalance.
Snapcaster Mage
Oh, a turn.
Oh, that's not.
It's just
That's not gonna
getting
do it.
crazy. It's just getting crazy. Oh, Force of Will. That'll do it.
Yeah, that'll seal this game.
Yeah.
Force Will has a 5 spell, so
Yeah,
5 seems-
not an 8.
Yeah,
Not a 6,
not a
excuse
6.
me. Man, think if Force of Will was a 6, you could reveal it to Dark Confidant and just get even more wrecked.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that was interesting, the first round we saw
Adam versus Greg.
Adam versus Greg, and Greg actually had Dark Confidant. And actually, when Greg was playing in the Star City event, he flipped his Tombstalker to a Dark Confidant and took 8.
Yeah.
And just took it and just manned up. And I was like, that's fine.
For a while, I used to not like Dark Confidant. I'm like, oh, you lose so much life. But then I realized every time you lose life off Dark Confidant, that means you're drawing really good spells. Like,
Yeah, that's
spells
right.
that cost a lot are very powerful, and so
Yeah.
Dark Confidant guarantees you getting good cards. I'm willing to pay a life cost because you're
Certainly.
playing this aggressive deck, so you want these
Right.
threats. Like when you reveal a Dig Through Time, you're like, oh, I get a Dig Through Time. Cool.
And then at that point, you have to figure out how to kill your
Yeah.
Your Dark
I mean, like you can
Confidant,
only
right?
do that so long, but like, how many Dig
Right.
Through Times do you need to cast in a game
to
before
win the
you
game.
win?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Like the
That's a
threshold is
great
somewhere
question.
between 2 and 3, so you gotta hope it doesn't happen 3 times.
Yeah,
but when
but-
it happens twice and you 16 yourself and then win, like it's good.
Yeah, at
know?
least you won, right? At least you won.
The decks that play Dark Confidant are ones where life steal is not a resource. So like
Right.
defense can't play Dark Confidant. That'd be very
Oh,
bad.
that would
Also,
be
they have
very
they have 4 Gristlebrands and an Emrakul, so that'd
Yeah.
be very greedy.
Oh my.
So we're going to game 3 here, and it looks like Sean, he's got 3
He got
tops in his
triple
hand.
tops.
So
Triple tops.
last time he had 4 counterbalances, but this time he's got 3 tops.
You know, one of the things that's really nice about watching Miracles play is everybody thinks it's just this really clean cut. Look at all these tops.
Sean's gonna hide one card.
Yeah, everybody thinks that it's just this really clean cut deck, and it's gonna it always has the lock. And the reality of it is, it doesn't always have.
It
the
doesn't.
lock.
And
You
what's
know?
really funny is sometimes it's got counterbalance and it's just got a bunch of blanks on top. Like sometimes it's Force of Will, Terminus, and Treat the Angels. They're like, oh, you're playing Ponder into Tarmogoyf? Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that resolves. Or sometimes they'll flip the top, and you're like, okay, well now you're locked into a 1. Here's a 2.
Yeah.
Just like that. Just like game 1.
Yeah, here's a 2 and then here's a 3 to answer your counterbalance.
Oh wow! And a fetch land off the top, and Sean really excited to play that top.
So he's gonna
Yeah.
play one top, flip the other one.
Cycle it. Here's the fetch land. Crack the fetch.
I like this though. He's
Yeah.
like, I got a lot of tops. I want to turn some of these into cards.
Sean is certainly a master. Like
He knows
that's
how to play this
yeah,
game.
exactly. Extra tops in hand, no problem, man. I'll put it on top and I'll just shuffle them away. Fantastic place. Excellent place. Ponder here is most certainly from Sean. Why not? Right, and if you watch the amount of spells that Sean has played this game, he's played a lot. There's a lot going on right now on Sean's side. He's seen a lot of cards, and I'm certainly surprised to see the lack of spells coming out of Joe. I mean, like, obviously Joe's only had one turn, right? But that's kind of like that's the issue with Thoughtseize, man. You saw double Ponder, double top. Like, what are you gonna take?
Yeah, I mean, you take a Ponder, but you're like, all right, well, that hand is incredibly redundant. And that's the thing we were talking about earlier. These hand disruption effects aren't actually that great versus cantrip-oriented decks.
Really?
Wow, there's a counterbalance off the top, so that's huge for Sean.
Yeah.
He's
Sean,
asking for one card, and that's what it was.
Yeah, Sean's pretty excited. You know, to be honest, if you had a top in play and you drew a card, I would be certainly very excited to draw a counterbalance.
Even if counterbalance is not in my deck, I'd still be like, oh, I got a top in play. Here's a counterbalance. Cool.
And he passes, and Joe just snap draws, and he just doesn't have. I guess there's just not a lot doing over there.
Yeah, I feel like his hand might be a little clunky. I think I saw Supreme Verdict in his hand.
That's not right.
I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that I actually didn't see the card.
Maybe Sean's playing like the aggro build, or maybe he's trying to kill and entreat the Angels.
I guess. Yeah, that's a Supreme Verdict.
Second card in, underneath his thumb.
Oh, but there's a True Name Nemesis.
Yeah, that card's
so that
card is certainly pretty good.
Sean does have a top activation though, but it looks like there's no 3, and Sean also doesn't have a counter spell. So I imagine that's going to resolve. Looks like there was just a 1 in play.
And here comes the...
Oh, that was a Vendilion Click. Okay, never mind. I thought that was a Brainstorm. This game's going very poorly for Joe.
Yeah. That Thoughtseize. And the funny thing is that there was just nothing he really could have done. I mean,
yeah, there's not a lot of decisions.
He played Thoughtseize, he took the right card, and then he played True Name, and then it got countered, right? And that's the issue. I mean, that's the problem with the mid-range deck, right? It's just you're always halfway in between. You know, you're never aggressive and you're never controlling enough.
Yeah, and sometimes you have Supreme Verdict versus a deck that plays Entreat the Angels and Terminus.
Sometimes you have some Supreme Verdict.
You also have a True Name. Like, I feel like playing Supreme Verdict when you have a True Name is a very poor line.
Yeah, that's not very good. I mean, True Name is certainly the right answer that Joe wants to have versus Miracles. Like, it's kind of like Jason that is hard to interact with. You know, he needs specific cards to deal with it. But the other issue is that, like, I mean, it's still a 7-turn clock. It's not that fast. It's not. I mean, it's not like my heart and soul. It's not like Geist-Saint Trap. Geist-Saint Trap was just nuts.
That card's very hard
to
deal with.
Couldn't beat it.
And so Joe actually has a Jason the Mind Sculptor in his hand here, but Sean has a Vendilion Click, which is going to aggress it very, very easily.
Yeah, so I mean, but the thing is, like, Sean has seen, I mean, like, Joe has seen the Vendilion Click. He's tapping to draw a card. Oh, yeah, this is...
He's going to fetch. He wants to just have as many cards in hand as possible. He wants to turn these tops into value.
You know, for a second, I actually thought that Sean just remembered what card was on top of his deck, and I was going to showcase the idea that, you know, a good Miracles player is just going to know.
Yeah.
He's going to know.
He knows what the right line is. He's able to predict. And sometimes not only do they just have it, they also have the exact card that they need on top.
Oh,
he didn't even need to rearrange that. He's like, yeah, I'm going to look at the top 3. Here's the
he's got the Staticaster.
Oh, this game is not going well for
You know
Joe.
what just happened? Sean just said keep him.
Yeah.
Sean just literally just looked over at his opponent and just says keep him. You can have them. Those are all great. I love them.
I'd like you to have all those
I'd like
cards
you to
in your
have
hand.
all those cards. And you know what happens? When you're Joe Becker and you think you have the right answer and you don't have the right answer, that's a problem.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
a big problem.
So there's going to be a Jace jam
the
here for Sean.
Mind Sculptor.
And Joe has no answer to it. He's tapped out, so he can't play the Spell Pierce. He's going to play Lingering Souls, but then Sean's just going to play as a Staticaster.
Yeah, and then the other issue is that even if he plays Supreme Verdict, Sean's got the Caracas.
Yeah.
Sean's got all the bases,
Sean has a
man.
Caracas and a Jason
Yeah,
play.
Sean's got all the bases, and this is the reason why Sean's a master. You know,
Yeah.
Sean's covering all the different bases. He's covering all the different angles.
He's also getting insanely lucky. I got to put that out there. Like, he is playing this deck right, but he is also sacking so hard.
I mean, the blind flip 4 was a little egregious.
It wasn't like he had a top. He got to look.
Yeah. Oh, I suppose they only
It was
run
the
two,
top
they
card.
only run 2 Jaces.
Yeah.
They only run 2 Jaces.
It wasn't like a true blind flip.
To
It was
be
pretty
honest,
close.
when Sean flipped the Jace, I'm pretty sure Joe just leaned back and said, "Oh my god."
Yeah, that's not how Joe wanted to see this game
Absolutely
going. Joe
not.
wanted to have the Jason the Mind Sculptor, and Sean have nothing.
All
but
right.
instead, we got this. So there's a Council's Judgment here, but like, what is this going to answer?
You know,
Oh, there's a 3 on top.
Oh, the Staticaster.
There's a 3 on top of
You
his
know what's
library.
you know what's funny is that Sean read that. Sean read that with his Dre's brainstorm, and that's one of the things that when people think that they know Magic, and when people think that they understand what it is to actually play the game, you haven't actually experienced the game until you've anticipated what your opponent's going to do a full turn before they've done it.
And Miracles is a deck that relies so heavily on prediction and optimization that you have to play the deck this well, otherwise the deck's not very good.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I were to sit down and play Miracles, I would just flub, and I would just get wrecked. There would be nothing I could do to win the game. And Sean's actually foresaw that one of Council's Judgment. He foresaw the Oblivion Ring possibility.
Yeah, he was probably playing around Oblivion Ring or True Name, but Council's Judgment was just icing on the cake.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really hard to get 3 drops, and so you usually want to be floating one.
Yeah.
And that is, Staticaster wasn't doing anything in his hand. He doesn't want to pitch it to force. He wants to use it to kill Lingering Souls, but there hasn't been the Lingering Souls played yet.
And the thing is, the Staticaster also answers the Lingering Souls when it's sitting on top of your deck.
It also
too,
answers it when it's
right?
on the stack and you have counterbalance in play and it's on top of your library.
Man. You talk about a guy who's crafted the game well. You talk about Sean Yu right here.
Absolutely. Sean Yu is showing his prowess with the deck and exactly what happens when you're good at this deck and you play when you top deck very, very well.
That's
because
right.
your opponent has 0 windows to
Yeah,
get back into this game.
it's just an extra advantage to have, right? And so here we see Joe Becker's kind of on the back foot. There's not really a lot he can do. There's a Jace that is attacking him by upticking, and also Vendilion Clique is attacking the life total. So really a couple different options. He really needs to. I mean, I think that the card that answers this board state the best. This is going to sound crazy. He's like Keranos. Keranos would be like a card that you might be able to get.
Really
away
hard to
with.
deal with. Pyroblast is pretty much the only way to do it, or Force the Will, or reveal the Force the Will to counterbalance.
Right.
But besides that, there's not any good answers to it in the format.
Yeah.
And that's why it's starting to see some play in Legacy.
That's right.
So Joe, he's thinking about what he wants to cast here, and I
It's
imagine there's
gonna
still
be
a
Supreme
4 on top.
Verdict.
Oh wow!
Ah.
Supreme Verdict, your Vendilion Clique. I will spend 4 mana.
Wait.
There's a little bit of a facepalm there from Joe. He knew that line was coming. I think he saw it real quick.
I think that the other issue is that he's actually like it slows down the clock a little bit. I mean, I suppose that was the big issue, is that it slows the clock down from a 4-turn clock to maybe a 5-turn clock with Jace killing him. I mean, like, you might as well play the cards in your hand. That's all you can do.
Yeah. And
Oh,
Sean's
man.
actually playing this very intelligently.
Yeah.
He's been floating a 3 for a while with the Wear Tear.
Yeah.
Because Wear Tear, you can reveal it as both a 1-drop and a 2-drop.
Yeah.
And so in those 2 cards, he's able to counter almost everything in Joe's deck.
Yeah. Wear Tear essentially acts like Chalice of the Void on 1 and 2.
While you
right?
have countertop.
Yeah, exactly right. So certainly, like, in the late game, it's right where you want to be at. Oh my! And just Joe Becker just has not a lot to do. He drew a Thoughtseize, and Thoughtseize is a very good card in the early game when your opponent has a handful of action.
Not
really,
good.
Not good now.
Not good now. Not good when your opponent has 3 tops and 2
Yeah.
ponders in their hand either.
And
So that Wear Tear, it's still a 1, so it's going to counter there.
yeah. This is a difficult spot, man. And I think that the only time, find the 3. And, Joe Becker's trying to do the weave that we talked about last time, but there's really just not a lot to do.
It's really hard
And he
to
just
weave
packs
when your
it up.
opponent has a 1, 2, and a 3, and like more lands in play than you do, simply because you have to result in 0 mana, 3 mana
That's
spells.
right. That's right. One of the really good ways to get around and to answer that deck is to have a counter the Gadok Teeg.
Yeah.
Really makes it hard for your opponent to answer what you're doing.
Cards like Gaddock Teeg, cards like Abrupt Decay are very important to have in
Yes.
Miracle's decks
Inevitability.
to be able to interact with them.
Yeah, Inevitability, or also like Corrosive Grip. Very powerful cards.
Green Sun Zenith is also really good because you can choose what
Right,
the CMC is.
right.
It's you search for X or less. So
Right.
I've played that card. I think X equals 6, so it was a 7 mana spell, knowing
Yeah.
that it couldn't get countered.
Yeah.
Just to force a 3 for a Gaddock
Yeah,
Teeg. So,
and that's that kind of goes back to either the weaving or also giving a variable converted mana cost like engineered explosives.
yeah, absolutely. You can really disrupt exactly how your opponent's deck
Mm-hmm.
attacks you. So we have a couple minutes left in the round. I don't think we have enough time to get another match on camera, but we will be back with round 3. That was the end of round 2. We had 2 matches for round 2. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be back with some more Sweet Legacy action in just a little bit.
All right.
Welcome back to the booth, guys. So we got some good news for you guys that like Eternal formats and not just Legacy.
And not just Modern.
One of the cool things about the Seattle metagame is that there is a ton of people that play Vintage here. A lot of the Legacy players do. And so we got a few minutes left on the round, and so we're going to get in some Vintage for you guys. It's not sanctioned or anything, it's just two guys battling.
Yeah.
So we're going to head down to the match right now. We got Tim Stone on the left here playing Oath, versus Sean Yu, who's playing Pyromancer Storm. It's Pyromancer, Young Pyromancer, not Pyromancer Ascension. It's
also would be sweet.
It's a deck Menendian has been advocating a lot recently.
Steven Menendian,
Yeah.
prominent Vintage player.
Absolutely, great guy.
Yeah, played a lot of Magic, just an old school magician.
He has a book on how to play the card Gush, so he knows this format very well. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
So.
I suppose he's in the era with the meddling mage Chris Pikula, and also John Finkel as well. So a very old-timey mage and a very exciting player, or a very exciting player or interesting player to look at his decks. I didn't know they come out right.
A little bit. It was a little clunky. I'll give you a B on the approach. So we're going to start out with the Thoughtseize here from Oath. He's going to see Cabal Therapy, Regrowth, Force Will, and Fast Bond. I like taking the Fast Bond here. I can see going for Cabal Therapy, but
Hand protection.
Yeah.
Especially because Tim is actually playing a combo deck as well.
Yes.
So Cabal Therapy, of course, being a card that could certainly potentially hurt him.
And so Tim now knows all the cards that Sean has.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're going to regrowth a fetch land here, so Sean just wants the mana base. He needs lands to be able to operate, I think.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to do that a little bit better. Tim, however, knows that there's no interaction in Sean's hand, and I imagine he's just going to jam an Oath here.
If he has it, certainly.
Yeah.
One of the things that's really interesting about Vintage is that people believe that the format is actually very you're dead, you're gonna die in exactly 1 second. But that's not always the case,
The truth about Vintage is probably about 30% of the matches are one-sided slaughters, but the other 70% are these insane matches where you need to play your deck incredibly well to a maximum percentage, otherwise you'll lose because someone will play their deck better.
And Sean's about to get slaughtered here.
Yeah, when your opponent goes Oath the Druids off Forbidden Orchard and you don't have any interaction for Oath and you're not going to kill them, you're pretty much just dead.
We should tell Sean to pick it up.
Yeah. There's only like a minute or so left in the round, but I think we'll be able to finish this match in time.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Tim Stone's version of Oath of Druids is probably the most preposterous deck I've ever seen in my life.
I'm not sure which threat he's going to Oath into.
Oh!
I forgot about that. We got a Cabal Therapy in the yard. And so Sean's actually able to sack that token.
What was that?
That was huge.
Oh my god!
So, Oath of Druids has an intervening if clause, so it's actually not going to trigger unless your opponent has a creature. So there's no way to, in response to the trigger, make a token. So that was
that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I totally forgot about that therapy.
Yeah.
That was a really big deal, too.
The funny thing, though, is, Tim's just gonna give him another token.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you're just like, shit.
So yeah, there's a token for Sean. Another one.
I have another one. I think Casey drew that one. That one's probably worth about $5 or $6.
Yeah.
It's show and tell.
So
Sure,
like,
why not?
Fine. You're gonna.
Oh, you know what?
Interact with my board. I'll put an Emrakul into play.
Oh, why not? Did you see how Tim passed? Yeah. He passed with both of his hands. Like, go.
He passed with all of the tentacles, all of the noodly appendages.
All of his might. He just passed with all of his might.
And so Sean actually is in an awkward situation where he's got 6 permanents in play versus an Emrakul.
Sean just knocked the table, and he drew an island. All right,
so that's going to be matched.
That was so insane. He didn't even activate Oath.
Alright, welcome back to the booth, guys. So that was just round in the match. I figured that we'd have enough time to get one game of Vintage in, and it was a one-sided one, so perfect.
Yeah.
So we're going to go down for a little bit, probably like 2 minutes to get the next feature match set up, and then we'll be back live with round 3 of this 4-round Legacy tournament. So
Stick
stay
around,
tuned,
guys.
guys.
Goblin Rattlemans.
Welcome back to the booth, guys. So we're getting set up for round 3 here, and we have 2 Seattle players. We have Brent Trout, who he's been playing Aluren forever. He's one of the guys that I was like, oh, that deck actually looks really good. I'm going to start playing it, and now I play that deck.
It's a good deck.
But he's actually jumped off of the Aluren wagon. This is I think the first time I've seen him not playing Aluren. He's playing Goblins. So
I think if you could jump as far from a wagon, from one wagon to another wagon, this would probably be the largest jump.
You think a 3-color combo deck to a Goblin Lackey deck is the biggest jump possible?
I think so. I mean, you're going from a creature-based combo deck to a
creature-based aggro deck.
Okay. You're right.
It could be worse. It could be Tin Fins to Goblins. I think that'd be a little bit further, but not by much. And then on the other side of the table, we've got Jeremy Edwards. He's a Legacy player. He actually won his buys a little bit ago playing Enchantress, and I thought he was playing Enchantress, but it turns out he's actually playing Grixis Delver.
Why you gotta do that, man?
Do what? Rub buys in your face? Because I have them and you don't. Why else would I? Who else am I going to rub them in the face of?
For everybody who doesn't know, Jeremy Edwards actually won his buys over myself.
Oh yeah, that's
in
right.
the finals. By I force-willed his Oblivion Ring to bring him to 2. I had a Eidolon of the Great Revel in play. I thought the next spell that he was going to play was going to kill him because Eidolon was very good.
He played a 4-mana spell though.
And then he played a 4-mana spell called Worship.
So not just any spell that doesn't trigger Eidolon, but also one that makes him never lose the game against you ever. Jordan was playing Grixis Delver versus Enchantress. Enchantress had a random shadow creature #1 in play. Lands of Worship never has to worry about life total ever again.
That was brutal because when I was a little kid, like when I was in middle school, like or back when I was in 3rd grade, Worship was a card that you lost to anyways. Yeah. And so when you lose to Worship as a grown man, that's just terrible. Yeah. Like you just feel awful about your life.
Yeah, we're not religious enough. I think that's really the problem. Yeah, Jeremy's the only one that prays.
Praise to the god of enchantment.
Yes. I mean, he plays that deck a lot. He does very well with it. I expected him to be playing it. I think that's what he's going to be playing in the GP. So I imagine he's just trying to get as many reps with the deck as possible. But it looks like he's shaking it up a little bit. So,
I think that what actually ended up happening was Jeremy kind of realized the shift in the metagame, and he noticed that there was a lot of people playing Miracles again. You know, Sean Yu came back, Adam Rupert came back, Swale started showing up again with Miracles as well.
Isn't Enchantress pretty good versus Miracles, though? They don't have a lot of ways to interact. Terminus, to put a bunch of Shard guys on the bottom, is like the only thing they get to do.
Yeah, but you are kind of based off your velocity of 1-drops. You do need to resolve a lot of enchantments.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, like, you know, it is kind of a potato-potato game. And also, you have to kind of watch out, like, cards like Humility are just, like, randomly very good against you. Like, they can deal a lot of damage and, like, take down a lot of your guys.
Okay, make all your guys 1/1s. That makes sense. Yeah, so what else we got to talk about? I'm a little interested right now on the list. We have we're on the list of all the decks. It's Goblin Stompy, so I'm not really sure if that's different than Goblins or not.
Goblin Stompy?
That's what's written. I don't know if that means that he's going to be having like some hate cards.
He's going to play like Goblin Seller.
Yeah.
You know what that card is?
I do. When it comes into play, destroy a land. I do know what it is. Looks like Brett he's got the combo. He's got Aether Vial plus lands. Aether Vial plus Wasteland even. It looks like he's got 3 lands in hand, so it's a little heavy on lands, but I think it's okay.
I bet you Jeremy doesn't believe that Brent's on Goblins.
I assume Jeremy assumes he's on Aluren, and he's going to be in for a very nasty surprise. This fetch land still makes me think it's potentially Aluren.
Yeah. I want to see Jeremy's face, because he'll be I hope he's leaning in for this one. Jeremy kind of leans in when he plays Legacy, and I believe that when he casts... Nope. Jeremy immediately on the write down. Like, when he gets up down, too.
I love watching Jeremy play, and not just in feature matches, but I mean just play in general, like while he's sitting next to me and I have a match, simply because the way he plays is so methodical, it's so clean, and he takes so much notes. So you see this piece of paper, that's like a full-size legal notepad. Yeah. He fills up one of those each match.
Yeah, he really does.
This includes cards that his opponent's playing, things he should be playing around. He takes so many notes, and then at the end he writes a lot of tournament reports. I don't know if he shares them a lot, but he sent them to me afterwards, and it's very interesting to hear his take on a lot of matchups compared to what I'm seeing from the booth.
Yeah, and he has a lot of considerations. He's certainly a very methodical player and a very good player at that.
He also really likes to metagame.
Oh, yeah.
He has a lot of very unique decisions, things like Worship that people sometimes can't beat.
And to be honest, he actually told me after the match that he actually had Worship in the match specifically to beat a card like Eidolon. And he heard me spout off about how much I loved Eidolon as a sideboard card for blue decks, which sounds kind of crazy, but
it's very good
works.
versus them.
Yeah.
Very good versus cantrip decks. So Brent's got a Tarfire in his hand, it looks like. So I imagine that Tarfire is going to take out the Deathrite at some point.
One of the interesting things about Goblins is actually you saw kind of Goblins as a deck kind of fell away because Deathrite Shaman was printed. Deathrite Shaman, of course, is like the best blocker to beat Goblin Lackey. And the reason why is because Goblins used to pack a lot of Gem Palm Incinerators, and so they could go turn 1 Lackey, turn 1 Incinerator your blocker, or potentially trade my my Lackey for a card like Nimble Mongoose, right? And that would be a fine trade that they'd be willing to take. But with Deathrite Shaman just provides a whole bunch of issues where he actually can't. Hopefully he's activating here. He actually can't attack into it with a Jump Up Incinerator. Oh, and he's getting Spell Pierced here.
So this is on Jeremy's upkeep. Brent was like, I think you might have a counterspell, so I want to tap you out on your upkeep.
Right,
so
right.
upkeep, shock your Deathrite Shaman. Jeremy's like, I'm going to respond.
Right.
Jeremy really wants to put in, I don't know, there's got to be some sort of 2-mana guy that counterspells when it comes into play. Spellstutter Sprite, bam.
Oh boy, that would have been wrecking.
That's one of my favorite cards.
Oh yeah, that card's quite good. You also played back in the era of Fae, you know, that was a very powerful deck.
I was playing 5C in Standard, but I really like Spellstutter Sprite in the Fairies deck. It was the card I was always playing around.
Yeah, Cloud Pressure. Eat 'em.
I love that card. Cloud Pressure, Makeshift Mannequin was the combo. And then they printed Volcanic Fallout, and then you got like both cards glued onto one, and then it couldn't even be countered.
Do you remember Great Stable Stag?
I did.
That's a card.
Yeah. That was pretty much like right when Fae and 5C were starting to fall off. Bloodbraid Elf just got printed as well.
That's right. Oh yeah, so many good cards against the control decks. One of the things that Brent Shroud just tried to do is he tried to tap his Aether Vial to pay for the Spell Pierce. Turns out Aether Vial actually does not make mana, and so he's gonna have a big issue paying for Spell Pierce.
Yeah, I think Aether Vial needs a buff. I don't think it's good enough.
Yeah, I don't think it's good enough. I mean, if it added 2 colorless mana, it would be reasonable.
Tap, put a creature into play with that CMC, or add that much mana to your mana pool. Either one.
Jeremy actually has a pretty reasonable clock right now. He has a Lightning Bolt in hand, a Delver, and a Deathrite Shaman. And, one of the things that the Goblins has trouble doing, it can swarm the board relatively well. Brent's kind of got a slower start right now.
I think he's going to be okay. So,
he's committing.
He's got a Vial.
That's not bad.
In his hand right now, it looks like he's got a War Chief. He's got, I believe I saw a Matron, so he's got a lot of options as to what he can do.
If he had the Matron, he actually could have played War Chief and then played the Matron as well.
I imagine he probably wants to flash some stuff in.
Okay, that's possible.
I feel like Vial's one of those cards that you want to use on your opponent's turn, not really your turn. And
that's
even though it would make his hand have a little bit more velocity, he wants to have the surprise factor.
That's certainly possible. Another issue that you have when you have a card like Gem Palm Incinerator as a kill card, you have to watch out because Gem Palm Incinerator counts the number of goblins in play. And actually, if he loses some goblins to Lightning Bolt, his Incinerator might not be strong enough to kill. Deathrite Shaman.
Absolutely.
Or Deathrite Shaman, or even a flipped Delver Seekers. A Vendilion Click.
We have a Sorcery Speed V-Click, and it looks like that's
instant speed. He did in response to the Bile activation.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't see the Bile was
very good play by Jeremy. Vendilion Click.
Interesting. So he also has a Ringleader. I would have played that turn very differently. That's a Krenko in the middle, I believe. I would have played the War Chief, and then I would have casted the Krenko and activated it right away for 2 tokens.
Yeah, that would have been a very strong play. I gotta believe that the reason why Jeremy Edwards is actually playing very well right now.
Jeremy Edwards really played around that line very effectively, and it looks like Brent drew a Matron off that Vendilion Click, which there's still a Vial trigger on the stack. That's going to resolve, put a 3-drop from his hand into play, and he'll put
that was a beautiful play.
Jeremy with the clap there.
Yeah, the top deck was real right there, and what would be pretty interesting is if he goes and gets a War Chief here.
I think you just get the War Chief that you put on the bottom. It looks like he's going to get an Incinerator, though. He wants to deal with some of these creatures in play.
Yeah.
I feel something like a Siege King Commander might be a little bit better to tutor for. I don't know if he's playing it. I imagine so, especially when I see Krenko. I got to imagine there's a Siege King in there.
The other issue, though, is I think that Brent actually needs to... he's getting... Dude. Oh
man.
No.
So for you guys that don't know at home, that is a Goblin Sharpshooter.
Goblin Sharpshooter.
So that card, it doesn't untap during your untap step. But whenever a creature dies, it untaps. And it's got a ping ability.
And he can give it haste with his Siege King, or with his, what's it called?
I don't believe he has a War Chief, so...
Oh, he doesn't have the War Chief?
Right, the War Chief went to the bottom.
Oh, boy.
So we're going to see some Vile activations. I imagine he's going to leave 1 on 3 and uptick the 1/1.
Well, you know what? I bet he'll go to 4, and in response to going to 4, he'll activate for 3.
Looks like he's actually just going to... I imagine you probably want to...
Oh, he wants to play Ringleader.
Yeah, he wants to put Ringleader into play.
Or Krenko.
Both very good options. I feel like Ringleader's a little bit better at this point.
Man, if he could have played the sharpshooter and then just blown out Jeremy.
Yeah, I will kill your entire board.
That would have been insane.
What's actually really cool is what he'd be able to do is he'd be able to attack with a creature and then before combat damage resolves, flash it into play, put that untapped trigger on the stack, be able to kill the Deathrite Shaman. And then wipe away the board.
And then just blow everything out.
So we got 2 flip Delvers now, so that sharpshooter actually got significantly worse.
It certainly did. But, it's one kind of interesting. If he can deal 1, if he can ping for 1, he'll be able to at least kill the Click, which is obviously going to be very good here. Unbelievable play. Sharpshooter is certainly not a card that you see a lot in the Goblins deck. A lot of times Goblins only has a certain amount of flex slots. Cards like, I'm gonna pull out some really old school ones. Tinge Street Hooligan.
I know what that is.
Yeah, Tinge Street Hooligan's a great card.
That card got a lot better with the printing of Cavern of Souls as well, because you can tap it for green.
It certainly did, and then it's uncounterable. Now the thing about it, everybody always used to tell me, Tinge Street's not that good because if you have a War Chief in play, they're just you can't pay the green. But the thing is that War Chief is the one card that is so dangerous to leave in play. All your opponent's Goblins have haste, they all cost 1 less, and then Tinge Street Hooligan is actually the Lightning Bolt before the untapped
so we're going to see a bolt on the Sharpshooter, which makes sense. However, this is leaving a window open for Krenko to come into play, potentially untapped.
That would certainly be very powerful. It's really too bad. I feel... You know what's really crazy is Goblins also used to play, I think it was called, Goblin Bidding? Patriarch's Bidding? Yeah, that was the deck was called Goblin Bidding.
Was the name of the deck.
Yeah, Patriarch's Bidding. And it would be pretty insane if Brent had access to that card.
I see the Plateau in play, so I imagine that he probably isn't splashing for double black spell that costs 5 mana. Is that a main deck Dak Faden?
If Jeremy plays Dak Faden and steals the Aether Vial, no, the Wombos!
And so this is something Jeremy's pretty well known for. He loves metagaming. He loves putting in these singleton cards that are huge blowouts in specific matchups.
Yeah.
But sometimes it costs you. Sometimes you're a little bit over metagamed, and you play things like Dak Faden against an aggro deck that Vial's not that good to take at this point in the game. It's already generated its value.
I'm just saying, if he does it, it'll be crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
It'll be crazy.
I agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
By the way, I think Brent's Fetchland's foil.
I believe that's a foil.
Yeah, OG. So
here we have the Devil Spell that did not get banned.
And this Devil Spell, this card's actually kind of good versus Goblins. I mean,
it's a big scary monster.
It is. It really is. It would be better if it had Trample, but who cares, man? I mean, 5 toughness is a lot for an Incinerator to kill.
So we got a Ringleader coming into play now. I actually liked putting Krenko into play, and then next turn putting in Ringleader. Ringleader has haste, Krenko does not. Ringleader has haste, or Krenko has haste now.
Yeah,
so
now it does.
So that's going to be draw 2, an Incinerator and War Chief.
And all the tokens that he makes off his Krenko will also have haste.
Absolutely. He'll be able to attack for a very large number here. Krenko is actually very good.
Yeah, and actually, Brent's going to be able to put the shields up real quick. I got to believe that Brent actually needs to draw probably a Wasteland to take him off black.
The thing is Jeremy has 9 points of damage flying right now. So I don't know.
Yeah, he needs to kill the Deathrite Shaman. He really does.
He needs to kill the Deathrite or some of these flyers. Incinerator is going to have to do some work. He might want to just chain Incinerators potentially. I don't know if he has a way to do that.
I think he has to kill the Deathrite though, because Deathrite's is not combat related.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he can't really block, I still think I would just rather.
Oh, wow. That is an incredibly powerful
flip. That's a Tarfire too.
He needs answers for these creatures, and Tarfire and another Incinerator is exactly
what creature type Tarfire. Oh, it's a Goblin.
It's a Goblin. However, the problem is Cavern of Souls doesn't actually let you cast Goblin cards. It's only creature cards of the chosen type.
That's right.
So you can't make that card uncounterable. However, Gem Palm Incinerator only counterable by Stifle, so that's going to guarantee get rid of one.
You were talking a little bit earlier about the possibility of having Siege Gang Commander, and Siege Gang Commander is totally in hand for Brent.
Yeah, he hit it off that Ringleader. It's going to be huge in conjunction with that Krenko.
Absolutely, and if you look at the board state, if he uptakes his Vial next turn, that's going to be, another Tarfire.
Oh man, this game is very swung.
This is getting spicy.
Brent was looking at 9 points of damage in the air. Now he's looking at 3 that'll be able to get rid of next turn. He's going to be able to get rid of the Delver this turn, and then the Vendilion Click and the Deathrite next turn.
Yeah, that's just unbelievably impressive. I mean, this is showing the power of a deck like Goblins.
This is showing the power of Ringleader.
Yeah, the power of Ringleader.
The cost of Ringleader is that you have to play all these other Goblin cards to enable it, but sometimes you hit exactly what you need when you draw a million cards, and that's what's happening here.
And what was even crazier is that, Jeremy already answered the hate card. He already answered the sharpshooter. Think if sharpshooter was in play.
Yeah.
He would just be pinging all over the place.
He'd probably be able to kill the Gurmag Angler. I didn't do the math, but he'd be very close.
Yeah. Sharpshooter plus the damage from Incinerator is pretty ridiculous. Oh my gosh. This is unbelievable.
So it looks like there's going to be a swing for 8 here. I imagine the Gurmag Angler is just going to get chumped.
Yeah, it has to get blocked by
I don't
Matron.
think that the Matron's doing anything anymore. It's already done its trigger. Oh, we're going to see a Vial activation on 2, though. I wonder what this is going to put into play.
Goblin Warchief, probably? Oh.
You can't. Warchief costs 3.
No. What's the guy who makes a token, and then when he dies, he has Echo?
Mog War Marshal.
Mog War Marshal, there you go. Yeah. I love how Brent activated his file.
He probably is trying to bait a Stifle out here. Jeremy was tapped out last turn, and so there was a window to activate the... what's the name of that guy? The Cycler. Gem Palm Incinerator without fear of getting stifled.
That's right.
But now he says, I think you still have a Stifle. I potentially was playing around Stifle earlier, so I'm going to try and bait out a Stifle here.
I really wanted Jeremy to play Dak and steal the Vial on 4.
Yeah,
I think it actually would have been insane.
It would gain him a lot of time.
Well, yeah, because he actually would probably win the game because he wouldn't be able to put in the Siege Gang Commander.
Yeah, Siege Gang, which is coming in next turn. It also would have stopped those ringleaders from coming into play and gaining him 6+ cards.
So you thought it was crazy, but it could have been crazy.
I mean, it's a metagame decision. The thing is Jeremy's been tapping out every single turn. I don't think there's a window. This is the first window where he'd really be able to play Dak to any value.
Yeah. To be honest, though, a Dak would kill Brent. Dak here would kill Brent because he wouldn't be able to put in the ringleader.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the Siege Gang Commander. Man, Goblins is such a great deck.
Yeah,
it's such an old school deck.
It got a lot worse for a while with Dig Through Time, but now that Dig Through Time's on the chopping block again, it's back.
Yeah, it's certainly a deck that can run rampant. It's really hard to overpower Goblins because a lot of times they just keep another ringleader, or sometimes they can make advantage. If you want to talk about if there's any EDH fans out there, and there's always EDH fans out there, Goblins. Yeah, Goblins is almost like. It's almost like a deck that can tutor for your answers. Like you can play all these really wacky and crazy cards. I've seen Goblins decks. What is going on?
So uptick. He's going to uptick the Vial to 3, and I imagine he's going to uptick this one in response to the trigger. He's going to put Krenko into play. I like this line a lot. Now he's going to be able to play Siege Gang.
Isn't he a little light to Vendilion Click or to? I mean, I would have liked to just put the Siege Gang in last turn.
He couldn't have put it in last turn.
Or sorry, this turn. Okay. Yeah, and then shot a token, and then played his Starfire, or he has a Sting Scourger in hand.
That's a really good answer.
That's a really good answer for Gurmag Angler. Gurmag Angler. I mean, he just bounced it.
I don't think he's worried about Gurmag Angler. When you have a Krenko in play and you can tap it to make 4 tokens, you're not really worried about a big, scary, non-trampling monster.
That's true.
So it looks like he's going to cast a Sting Scourger here. I'd actually like to bounce a Vendilion Click. Vendilion Click is the only thing that can't get blocked right now.
The real attacker here.
That's what I would cast. That's what I would trigger, at least. And then you get to Gem Palm Incinerator, the...
there is some...
Death Ray. But it looks like he is going for the Gurmag. I feel like that's a slight misplay. I'm not worried about Gurmag Angler. 1 token is not relevant in this.
He's got a lot of things that can block. And the other issue here is, he has to figure out a way to deal with the Death Ray and a way to deal with the Vendilion Click as well.
Well, he's going to use this Gem Palm Incinerator to get rid of one of them, I assume.
Yeah. It's going to be... I think he's deciding...
I would go for the Death Raid here. I feel like you go for the Death Raid and then you bounce the Vendilion Click, and then your opponent can't attack with Vendilion Click next turn.
The only issue that I have with bouncing the Vendilion Click is he actually does get some value on the recast, assuming that he does draw a blank.
The thing is a lot of cards in Brent's deck are very redundant. I don't really care about any of my cards getting peeled if I'm replacing it.
No. Like Jeremy Edwards clicking himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant by that.
That's him spending 3 mana on not modifying the board state at all. Krenko's gonna make 5 tokens here. Next turn, it's gonna make 10?
Yeah, he is on a very quick clock.
These tokens have haste too, so they're gonna be coming in for a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think this game is actually over. Because I believe in Alpha Strike. Well, Jeremy's at 17. That's
Jeremy's
kind of a lot.
Very large
one of the cards that's really good in Goblins that they used to play a lot was Kiki-Jiki Mirror Breeder. And Kiki-Jiki in this deck is actually the most ridiculous thing. You get extra copies of Ringleader, you get extra copies of Matron,
Siege Gang Commander. I was playing Warren Instigator for a little bit, making extra copies of that.
Unbelievable. So some pretty exciting, obviously some pretty exciting magic right here. You're seeing an old-timey deck do old-timey things.
I like how Brent's leaving a couple Goblins back just so he can't get Alpha Strike.
Yeah. I think his Sting Scourger died. Did he play the Echo for it?
He played it this turn, so it's got haste from the Warchief.
I love Goblins. That being said, I have lost to Top Deck Ringleader, and I was very mad.
Yeah.
But, you know, what can you do?
What's very cool is Goblins is actually pretty good versus Miracles, both in this current iteration and the previous one.
Yeah, I mean,
because
yeah.
you just matron for matrons. People
That's
would always
right.
get Ringleader, but it was actually really bad to get Ringleader rather than matrons. Because if you get matrons, you get to chain them. They Terminus, you put all your matrons on the bottom, and you keep doing it. It's the same way Alurin attacks Miracles, and then you recruit for Recruiter, get them all Terminus, and then keep recruiting for Recruiter. You
that's
just
very interesting.
burn your opponent out of these sweepers with these cards that you can tutor for over and over again.
You know, I kind of feel the same way about Dried Arbor. You could just leave up all your fetch lands and then crack your fetch lands to get Dried Arbor, and then you just attack them for one, right? While they're burning.
You force them to use their swords or their Terminus on your Dryad Arbor, and then you get to play Gaddock Teague, and then Gaddock Teague into play against them, and you can't Terminus it anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because like the threat resiliency that you see that against decks like that put cards back into your deck. You know, like if you can figure out a way to find them, then you're gonna do that. Oh, Tarfire. I think Jeremy. I don't really know.
I think Jeremy's dead.
Yeah,
I think he's scooping him up.
I think he's scooping him up.
I think we're going to game 2 here. I don't think there's really any cards that he could draw besides maybe like a Pyroclasm to really get out of that. Fire Spout maybe.
Yeah, Fire Spout. You know what's gonna happen? Jeremy's gonna bring in Engineered Plague. I bet you he has at least one of them in his sideboard. I actually kind of want to go over there and figure out what he has. You know what was really crazy is we actually saw we thought Jeremy was going to win. He had double flip Delver and he had a Vendilion Click. But the thing is that the Goblins player was just able to overcome all of that disadvantage. Oh, Pyrokinesis.
Yeah, so we got 3 Pyrokinesises for Brent. It looks like we got a Dark Blast. I imagine there's got to be some creature hate in that board. I think there might just be Dread of Night, which isn't.
Oh, that's awkward.
Dread of Night's not good enough. Ancient Grudge potentially to get rid of the Vials.
You know what's weird? Jeremy cracked open his sideboard, and there's 2 Forcefulls in his sideboard.
Jeremy is a guy who he does some unique decisions. I can understand the appeal of not having the Forces main deck. They're a little clunky in a lot of matchups. This is one of the matchups that are clunky. I don't really like boarding Force here. You need Force on turn 1 to deal with Vial, but that's like the only time Force will ever does anything.
You know what I believe? I actually believe that Jeremy was metagaming for matchups, and he didn't metagame for Goblins. You know, not to say that you're ever going to go into a tournament expecting to play a Goblins deck, but it's just like you look around and you just gotta try to hedge your bets.
Yeah, so he's got main deck Pyroblast, he's got Spell Pierce, there was a Chain Lightning.
Yeah, Chain Lightning. Kind of crazy. I bet you if Jeremy played his Dak Faden.
He's thinking about the deck.
If he played the deck and he took the Vial last game, I bet you he would have won.
The game would have been very different.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have won because he would have been pretty far behind on board anyways.
But Brent was never able to get more than 4 mana, or more than 3 mana, right? So the other Vial was way slower. Yeah, the other Vial was way slower, and I bet you that the line where he takes the Vial is actually kind of good. Yeah. Even though I was totally trolling and
it was a very clunky, but I think it actually would have panned out.
Yeah.
Okay. And it looks like Brent also has some Relic Progenitus that he's bringing in, and I actually like this. He's boarding out the lackeys.
Yeah.
He says, you have Deathrite Shaman, I really don't want to be attacking you with the 1/1.
He's not trying to fight on that axis.
Oh, looks like, is that a...
Tuk Scrapper.
Scrapper. It's the ally guy. Whenever him or another ally comes into play, you can destroy an artifact. So.
And I think it also deals a damage.
I think it deals damage equal to the number of...
Allies in play. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. This deck, obviously, it's just going to have 1, potentially 2 if he's got Kiki Jiki to copy it. But it's there for the destroy an artifact trigger.
Oh man, if he has Kiki Jiki, Kiki Jiki's the old school.
When I was playing Goblins, I was playing Kiki Jiki, and so I had a 1-of toolbox, and also what I was playing was a 1-of Zealous Conscripts. Which, when I played in that tournament, I actually did more work with the Zealous Conscripts as a steal your permanent, attack you with everything.
Did you just top deck it, or?
Yeah.
That's so messed up.
I filed it into play, stole something,
up.
and attacked. I think I stole a Tarmogoyf with it,
and
just killed my opponent with it.
1-of Zealous Conscripts.
Because
you can go infinite with Kiki.
Yeah, I had it for the Kiki Jiki combo, but it ended up just being as a 5-mana 3/3 haste, steal your guy.
That's super epic.
I really wanted to have it to be the combo piece, and it was very clunky a lot of the time. But I mean, it's just a 1-of, and it was there as like a once in a blue moon. I have that. I get to matron for Kiki Jiki.
I'll tell you what it does. It pitches to Pyrokinesis.
Yes, it does. It is definitely a red card.
Oh my gosh. Unbelievable magic we're seeing here tonight, guys. I'm really excited because we're seeing some really old school players come out when they're practicing for the Grand Prix. But we're also seeing some pretty cool decks come out of the woodwork. You know, decks that could potentially be good in certain metagames or certain iterations where Dig Through Time is not being legal anymore.
Yeah, Dig Through Time getting banned has really shaken up the metagame a lot. Just looking at the deck lists, it's so much more varied than it usually is. And we have 51 people here tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a huge number
That's
for us.
right.
Normally we're in like the 30 to 40 range, but not a lot of people are playing the same deck. There's a few people playing Delver. There's still a few people playing Miracles.
Right.
But we have decks like Goblins.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna look through this list just a little bit more. See
yeah,
what else I see. We got
one
Fit.
of the things that's kind of crazy about it is, if I were to show up and play a deck like Miracles, and let's say I faced a guy like Sean Yu, there is not a single chance. I believe I might have 5 percentage points to win that mirror match because that man is so proficient at that deck.
5% to win a game, not the match.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, a game of Magic. That man is so proficient at that deck that even when he's losing, he's actually winning. Because I'm out of my element, I'm playing a different deck, right? And that's one of the things that you have to realize is that when you do go against the best, you need to be able to bring what you're the best at too.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just half-heartedly play another deck just because it's good. You have to play what you're good at.
Legacy is a format where you have to know your deck inside and out to really play it well. There's so many small decisions that matter a lot, and making the wrong one can punish you very, very
Absolutely.
hard.
Yeah, that's true.
So it looks like Brent's just going to sorcery speed fetch up an island. Fetch up a mountain. He's still playing around Stifle a little bit. He hasn't seen one, but he thinks it's there.
Right.
Jeremy, on his upkeep, he's going to cast a Brainstorm in response to the Delver trigger. He wants that Delver to flip now. He wants to put the clock on.
He really needs the clock. And to be honest, I think this is exactly what you want to be doing. The clock is very important versus Brent. It's very important that he can get attackers on the board as soon as possible, because at some point the Goblins player is just going to overwhelm you.
Yeah, this Daze is actually huge. Brent didn't have a turn 1 play, and so if he's got a turn 2 play, it's going to get dazed here. This is really bad for Brent.
It's kind of interesting. Brent has that Pyrokinesis in hand, but I got to believe he's going to wait for another spell to hit the table before he fires it off.
There's a YP in Jeremy's hand, and I imagine he's going to save it for when YP comes down, get rid of both guys.
Oh yeah, and all the tokens that it makes too.
He's got 4 damage to put around, so I imagine 2 on the Delver, 1 on the YP,
1 on the token. Yeah, that certainly makes a lot of sense. But if Jeremy Edwards has access to Gitaxian Probe here, a Gitaxian Probe could certainly spoil that plan.
It looks like there's another Delver.
Another Delver.
So it's possible that he plays the Pyrokinesis here.
I would play it here. I really would. I would not give my opponent a chance. He sees the days. He can pay for the days. He'll be in good shape if he can wipe out both cards. Oh, he doesn't play it.
Looks like he's choosing not to, though. He wants to draw. It's a Matron. He's got another land here, but I believe it's a Wasteland, and that's the only lands in his hand, so he doesn't really have a lot of spells to cast right now. I don't know if I would have kept this hand. It looks like it's got double Ringleader, it's got some Incinerators, it's got that Pyrokinesis and a War Chief,
you know what?
But he can't cast anything.
Brent is going to be all in on Pyrokinesis here. Okay, that's going to do it. I don't think...
Looks like he's going to Pyrokinesis now. He's trying to get some damage on the board.
Yeah.
And Jeremy's looking at his hand, and he's like, oh, this is really awkward.
Yeah, that was really painful.
That's a lot of cards out of Jeremy's hand.
That's a straight up head shake right there. But Brent doesn't have a lot of lands going on, and if Jeremy can find a way to reapply pressure, Brent's still going to be in trouble.
And this Wasteland, I think Brent's in the tank about whether or not he wants to Wasteland. I think
you hold it. You got to play your mage for next turn.
There are times to hold Wasteland, and it's mainly when if you were to waste your opponent, are they happy to waste you right now?
Right.
If that's the case, don't waste them.
And of course, Jeremy is actually not happy to waste your because then he just gets wasted.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I certainly got what you meant. But the young Pyromancer actually might be. Oh.
We're going to see a
young Pyromancer?
I imagine he's going to be a young Pyromancer, and I think he's got a cantrip in his hand, so he's going to fire that off, make a token.
Okay.
That's what I would do if I was Jeremy.
Yeah.
And I imagine Jeremy sees that line as well.
I think the reason why he actually went for his fetch first is he's worried about getting his YP hit or targeted by a Tarfire.
Yeah.
So he can't actually fetch, because if he gets Tarfired when he fetches, then he's in a lot of trouble.
He makes no tokens. It's very bad for him. I think it's a Brainstorm he's got, so he doesn't want to play the Brainstorm right now, but he will play it in response to as well.
Okay.
He's got a Pile
Driver.
So that's a very good draw here for Brent.
You know what? I would daze that.
Well, Brent's got a Wasteland out.
I still would daze it.
You just cast the daze for a token?
Actually, you know what? It's a 1/2. It's a 1/2.
Yeah.
If it was a 2-1, I would have dazed it.
Yeah. If you could trade it with a token.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's so brutal. And it's also protection from blue. Do you know why it's protection from blue?
I know that it was to counter the metagame at the time, but I don't know what specifically the deck was that it was against. Psychotog. Okay. I knew it was something. Psychotog is certainly hard to get rid of.
Boy.
However, it doesn't have pro-black, so this 5/5 Angler is going to be able to get in the way.
Grimhag Angler is kind of good right now, especially when there's not a lot of blockers. And Jeremy, of course, more than happy to trade the YP for the 1/2.
Do you think you should have attacked with the YP and then played it post-combat? I would have done that.
I think so, because he wants the trade.
Yeah, I think Jeremy wants the trade here. That's why he's attacking. Obviously, Brent's not going to make that trade, but I think he could have. So we're going to see 2 wastes tapped. I think he wants to play a red spell this turn, not a colorless spell, so I imagine he's going to change that a little bit.
Hangerback Walker, go!
So that's an Incinerator. We're going to have to make sure we get the right mana tap.
Yeah, he needs to tap red for that. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it really doesn't matter. But the Aether Vial still can be casted. He's got the Daze, right?
I would have done that in the other order.
I don't know why.
You know the last card in his hand is Daze.
I don't know why. That was so weird. I don't know. Oh my gosh.
And like your opponent can't Daze the Gem Palm Incinerator. So.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't imagine that he's going to Daze a Vial while you have 2 lands on tap. Maybe he does, just to make it
I would just have waited, because you have all the time in the world. Like, well, not all the time, but like a Vial gets you out of your issue, out of your problem.
And so Brent goes down to 9 here. I feel like his hand would be so much better if he
He's got a Chain Lightning too. Matron.
Maybe he was trying to bait out that.
Maybe he was trying to bait the Daze.
He also got spells. However, he just drew a.
Stink Scourger.
That's pretty good. However, it's actually not great. Jeremy's got enough mana to recast it.
That's right. That is correct. And like, it's kind of interesting. Like, Jeremy has this Chain Lightning, and I bet you Jeremy's like, please shoot it back at me. Please shoot it back at me.
I imagine this Matron's going to chump here. It's possible that Jeremy's going to.
Delver's Secrets.
That's a flying blocker.
Yeah, that's a flying blocker. It's getting
kind of.
It's getting kind of brutal here. Like,
it's not a blocker.
Jeremy is considering the Chain Lightning here. I think he's going to go for it.
Yep, he's going to Chain Lightning, get in for 5.
5 damage better than 3.
There's the attack, and Brent's now, He's going to 4, so this Delver's going to make quick work of his life total.
Yeah, especially if he draws a fetch land. A fetch land off the top would certainly be not very good for Brent.
Right, yeah.
Top deck.
It's a Cavern of Souls. That's what he's looking for.
That's certainly what he's looking for. Stink Scourger will resolve, although he already knows that.
I imagine he's going to Tarfire the Delver, Stink Scourger, bounce the Gurmag Angler, get in for 1.
Yeah.
And then at this point, he's kind of up on board parity, so he can play a chump blocker every turn,
right.
Especially with that Mog War Marshal. Because Mog War Marshal is going to block and then die and then make 2 more blockers.
Right. Now, if you're Jeremy Edwards, you certainly want to hold that. You really want to top deck Lightning Bolt. That's a card you want to see.
I think he wants to top deck Fire Blast. That's the card I want to top deck.
Yeah.
People look at me crazy. I was playing Blue Red Delver with Fire Blast.
Dude, no, Fire Blast is great. Fire Blast is an amazing card.
You play these Delver decks. I believe it's, I can't actually tell. I thought it was a Gurmag Angler, but I think that's the Gurmag Angler.
It's kind of interesting that Jeremy would choose to play Chain Lightning over Fourth Bolt. Because Fourth Bolt is obviously a card that you'd love to have in this matchup, because you can certainly nug 2 different creatures.
It actually wouldn't be that good in any of the situations so far.
I agree. I agree that it wouldn't be that good in any situation so far. I just think that in terms of power level of the sorcery speed, right? Like,
in general, the card is very good against
goblins. Being able to hit 2 different cards would actually be quite nice. Gurmag Angler comes down again, and I wonder. Brent's certainly not going to be paying for Echo.
Yeah, I imagine that.
He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it.
I could see the reasoning. Is it 2 mana for Echo or 4 mana for Echo?
It's 4. I think it's 4.
Okay, I think so too.
Yeah, it's 4 mana.
I don't know if you want to tap out here. I think you want to
don't.
be playing some spells. I think if it was 2 mana, it'd be okay, because then you also get to play the Mog War Marshal.
Prospector off the top. That card's certainly very good, especially with the War Marshal in hand. The War Marshal actually generates 3 mana. It makes 3 mana. So
you can spend 3 mana to make 4 mana here, potentially. I don't know if you want to do that, though.
Or I guess you cast the Prospector, right? So you make 3 mana for 3 mana. So the idea is that you set it up for the Prospector next turn.
Yeah, absolutely.
He actually could play Prospector here, and then he could sack his Pile Driver and then play Ringleader.
That seems pretty wrong, too. I'm not going to lie. If you're going to do that, you should just play Ringleader.
I'm just talking about the options, right?
There are situations where it's very good.
And that way the Prospector is in play, so you can sack a Goblin, right? I mean, that's just hypothetical.
I don't think he wants to turn his goblins into mana right now. I think he wants to turn his goblins into chump blockers for this Gurmag.
Right, no, I certainly believe that. I think that, that card seems pretty good.
So he's going to play War Chief here. However,
and he's going to seek the block.
Is he going to be chump blocking next turn?
Yeah, he has to. There's no way he can. There's no way he can take a strike.
Jeremy obviously didn't attack last turn because he would have chumped with a Stink Scourger and then.
Well, he got bounced. He got bounced last turn.
Oh yeah. I don't know what I was saying. You're correct.
Yeah. So instantly blocked with Pile Driver.
Usually Pile Driver is a big threat, but here it's not so great.
Yeah. If Gurmag Angler was blue, he could just block all day.
So many blocks.
Certainly. Wow. And actually, Brent has a lot of mana here, especially with a sure Prospector in hand.
I imagine he's going to play a Ringleader here. That's what I would do.
I mean, Ringleader certainly sets up the amount of the plays that you can make.
Ringleader also, it generates value and then it blocks the Gurmag Angler. And I think you want to turn all your cards into blocking Gurmag Angler.
Oh, that was massive.
Ooh. He really wanted that Cavern of Souls too, but
yeah.
He'll be content to just draw 3 cards off that.
Yeah, and he can play the Pile Driver as well and use that to block.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't even know if you want to block with pile driver.
I don't think you block with pile driver. I think you block with ringleader and you attack with the pile driver. Actually, I don't know if you want to attack with the pile driver.
Yeah, I like this play a lot.
I like this one a lot more.
Yeah, you have a lot more blockers and Echo. I mean, you just block with your Echo guy, right? And it's like not even that big of a deal.
Make another token, jump off of that. Yep.
Okay.
And I like this line a lot because when War Marshal leaves play, it makes a token. So Jeremy can't get rid of Forked Bolt to clear it away. He hits Forked Bolt plus another.
Now, if Jeremy had access to Engineered Plague, Engineered Plague off the top would just be the biggest blowout.
Yeah, the game would be over.
Yeah.
That'd be lethal. Jeremy's got to be hoping he draws it. I don't think he's got it in the deck, though. It's a drop, which is not quite the same.
Yeah.
Drop is actually the worst land in the deck, in my opinion, by a very large margin.
You've talked about that
I spoke about it on stream in Jeremy's deck while he was a feature match.
In great length.
He drew it, and I'm like, man, that was so awkward. I feel like that'd be a card for the board. And Jeremy actually took that into his notes and was writing about why he felt it should be main deck compared to sideboard and sent it to me. And I was reading this like 3 or 4 page long.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
It was great.
Yeah, that card, and certainly, I think he was even talking about how he can throw off other players, right? You fetch out a Trop and you play Ponder, and people think you're playing Rug, and all of a sudden you're playing this black deck that has like Death Wish.
All of a sudden you're playing Death Ray off of a Trop land, and you're like, oh crap, I don't know what you're playing. You think you're on like Bug Delver or something.
You could
like
have
that?
Stifle at this point, and then you're just playing Bug. Then you're playing Grixis Delver. So pretty impressive plays here. All right, there's the driver, and that's the guy that makes it hurt. And then the other guy that also makes it hurt.
The second driver, 2 cars.
2 cars. And the thing is that he has to block. I mean, he has to block with the angler.
And it'll eat the
angler. Man! And the thing is, it'll eat the angler, and then there go the double wastelands. He can't lose the double lightning bolt.
Yeah. Now that Brent has board control, he's like, I want to get both of us off mana.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get in here.
And Brent's very smart with this play. He actually can't lose to Brainstorm into double lightning bolt.
I think he's got lethal here. Actually,
yeah,
I think if he goes to combat,
he has to block. Or total lethal. Yeah, probably.
Well, I think they're getting plus 10/10, right? There's 5 other goblins.
Yeah,
they're
he's
attacking.
plus 10 plus so. Yeah, plus
so
10
those
plus
are both attacking for 11.
Right. So
I think that's why he played the double bolt line.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, no, it's just lethal. Like 1 pile driver getting through is lethal.
Yeah.
That's Xaxes.
Right.
And then everything else just icing on the cake.
Checking it out. I'm sure Jeremy's read that card a million times. That card is very good.
Yeah.
Reprinted, also playable in Modern, but you know what you can't play in Modern? War Chief. Yeah. You know what you can't play in Modern? Ringleader. You know what you can't play in
Standard? Those cards. You know what you can't play in Standard, though? You can play that.
Siege Rhino.
No, you can play Pile Driver in Standard.
That's right, you can't play. But you know what? It sucks, though, because I feel like Goblins would be a really sweet deck. I mean, you have access to Aether Vial if you could play some of the cool tutoring cards. Goblin Matron would make that deck infinitely better, but you can't do it.
I think that they specifically don't want tutoring to be a thing in Modern. I think they really don't want your deck to be the decider. They want your play and the cards you get dealt to be the decider, and so that's why they've been kind of aggressively banning those tutors and making the tutors not playable. And I don't think they'll ever reprint Matron for that very reason.
That's really sad. I mean, because tutors really show the flexibility and the power of a player, right?
Oh, yeah.
Knowing when to get cards and knowing how to build your deck too. The fact that Brent Trout had Goblin Sharpshooter in his deck was just the most insane thing. He had it on game 1. Right, that was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and I really wish it played a big part, because if you guys are at home and you're looking up what Goblin Sharpshooter does, Goblin Sharpshooter is really powerful in certain matchups. Like it's a 6 silver bullet, and sometimes it kills everything.
And people think it only kills X ones, and that's really not the case. Because the triggers go on the stack and resolve independently. You can respond, like if you have 2 untapped triggers on the stack.
Oh yeah.
You can let the first one resolve, untap your guy. You can tap it, let the other untapped trigger resolve, untap it again, and so you can start pinging down X2s and X3s if you have other ways to interact with the board. Like if you're attacking with a lot of guys, vial that guy in while he's got haste. You can do some very disgusting things.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very awesome, very powerful card, and a card that you don't really see a lot of times anymore. So, wow, that was exciting. That was awesome.
So welcome back to the booth, guys. We got about 15 minutes left in the round. I think we're going to try and get another match of Legacy on camera, and if there's not one quite down, then we're going to get a match of Vintage.
Oh, boy.
So stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Welcome back to the booth, guys. So we got some vintage set up for you. We're in round 3 of the tournament. There's about 15 minutes left in the round, so we're probably going to get 2, maybe even 3 games in before the next round starts. So yeah, we're going to head down to the match now, and I believe we have Tim and Sean who were playing last round.
Yeah.
So I believe that's, again, Pyromancer Storm, so it's a all-in Yogg-Will Storm deck with Pyromancer to also, just in case that like Tendrils gets answered, they can just make 50 tokens and kill you that way.
So is it really an all-in combo?
I mean, when I say all-in Storm, I mean like they're playing all the Moxes, they're playing all the rocks, they're playing Yogg-Will, they're probably playing Wheel of Fortune, they're playing all the cantrips.
Yeah, they did have I did see a Wheel of Fortune in Sean use deck. The crazy thing about Tim Stone is Tim Stone actually has access to like 4 different vintage decks. And if you want to talk about a man who has multiple sets of power, that man has multiple sets of power.
Absolutely. Is he the guy that collects libraries? I know there's a player in the Northwest area who collects Library of Alexandria's, and he's got a binder that's like 8 pages of Library of Alexandria. It's just, here's a page, and then on the backside there's another page, and then there's another page, and on the backside of that page, there's another page.
You know, I may have had that many Hypersonic Dragons, but I certainly never had that many.
Hypersonic Dragon is a little bit easier to find than Library of Alexandria, I believe. So yeah, it looks like we're starting out the match already. And Tim, he's got 3 rocks in hand. He's got a recall.
He's just, you see
like to draw some cards.
He's just playing all these
It's going
cards.
here. It's going
He's
here.
Playing all these
Let it happen.
You know, and the
course is going to answer that.
Tim Stone is also an old school player. When he plays his cards, he plays them upside down.
Yeah. It always kind of confuses me when I see his graveyard, and it's like, because right now it looks kind of normal, like it's facing upside down and it's behind his deck, but you get like 10 cards in there, and it just like, it starts going over onto Sean Yu's playmat a little bit.
Like, whose cards are those? Are those mine?
Can I have this? Is it?
All right. You see that? Did you see how he played it face up and then he fetched it face down?
Yeah, that was
cool. Yeah, that was pretty sick.
I don't know if he's always played his cards like that or if he just changed to playing them normal ways now because of the rule that WotC made.
2 mana. Oh, yeah.
I imagine there's going to be a Jace jammed here. That's what I would jam, especially against a Storm deck.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there's another Force.
Another Force of Will.
Wow.
And Sean Yu just doesn't really care about the card advantage, even though he just played a card that draws 3 cards.
I mean, when you're playing Wheel of Fortune, you don't really care about card advantage.
That's right. That's most certainly true.
We got a Merchant Scroll here. I imagine, I think he already...
A blue instant, right?
Yeah, I think he already pitched a recall.
He already played recall, so it's like, what do you grab? I mean, maybe does he have a High Tide in his deck? Oh.
Get another Force of Will. Just get more counter spells.
Yeah, why not? Sure, why not?
So odds or damage, we're going to get some damage here finally.
You know, the cool thing about Big Blue is actually a really savage, it's a savage deep control deck. Oh, walk it out, baby.
The Blue Explorer.
Yeah, the Blue Explorer. So it's crazy because Big Blue is actually a control deck that plays back to basics and also plays propaganda.
It can hose a lot of decks. A lot of decks don't have ways to deal with these very narrow hate cards. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So we see a Ponder here, and Tim actually has a Yogg-Will in his graveyard, so he's really trying to dig for a Lotus, because if he gets a Lotus, he gets to do insane...
Oh!
Speaking of Lotus... We got some news. Oh, no. Why is he... What? No.
No, I think he's just playing... He's not cracking his Lotus. He's not cracking his Lotus. Because he's bringing out the Force.
Okay.
He knew he fetched for the Force.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he's not... That was... Yeah, Yogg-Will...
But he could have cracked the Lotus and then had Flusterstorm in his hand, and he gets to cast Flusterstorm on the Force.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Dude, I don't know. Like, I'm just watching Vintage, man. It's cool. Oh, man. Therapy. Therapy is pretty good. I've seen that card before.
Yeah, it's pretty good with Young Pyromancer also.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad. Man, I really hope Tim's tap deck's a Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah.
In fact, I really hope he does. Sean's in the tank about this Cabal Therapy. You know, if Sean was playing Cabal Therapy in Legacy, he would certainly know what to name.
Yeah.
But he's playing Cabal Therapy in essentially what is EDH.
Yeah, he's only pretty good at playing Vintage.
Yeah. And certainly not X. I mean, like, he is a great player. He knows all the lines, but like, you know, when it comes time to cast a therapy where your opponent has, I love how he tried to roll the token. That was awesome.
Heads his damage.
Yeah.
So we got actual tokens now. Good. I hate when people use dice for tokens, especially if they do things like, let's say they have 3 tokens and they attack with 2 and leave 1 back, and they're using dice. I'm like, hey, can you just get some actual cards here?
Yeah,
I can't tell what's tapped and what's untapped.
I'm a big supporter of making your own tokens. I make my own tokens.
I did that for a while. I was playing Dredge and I made zombie tokens.
Nice.
And my favorite zombie token, I made like 7 or 8 of them. My favorite one was wearing a traffic cone on its head.
Oh, that's awesome. Nice. I actually have I bought some Nightshade Stingers that I'm going to convert into Bitter Blossom token, so
Okay,
I'm
I
pretty
like
excited about
yeah.
that.
You're gonna sting him.
Yeah, I'm gonna sting
Bitter
it pretty
stings.
good.
So you see an end step Vampiric Tutor here, which I like a lot. That's when you play that card, because then you untap and draw the card you want.
Yep.
I don't know what he's gonna get. There's got to be a way to get Yogg-Will back, and then from there it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. What could it be? What could it be
Not Yogg-Will
now?
number 2, but it's probably pretty close to Yogg-Will number 2.
What could it be now? No, 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 no.
So one of the things to realize is a lot of the players in the Seattle area are like software developers, so they have a lot of money. But there's also quite a few players who have just been playing for years.
Yeah.
Like when you bought into Vintage in '95 when it costed $200 for a deck, it's not too impressive. Oh, he's got a Tinker here, so it looks like he's going to tinker that Mana Crypt away. And Sean's used 3 forces this game, and it turns out he doesn't have a 4th one, so
And the
this
best
Tinker's
part,
going to resolve.
the best part about it is Tinker also slows down Sean's clock, so certainly not going to die to his Mana Crypt.
Yeah.
That would potentially kill him.
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
at 5 now. Tim's at 5 right now, so he's got to watch out for that.
A time walk.
So Sean can almost just cast his Tendrils just to shock you.
Yeah, that would be insane. Because he'd have a hard time blocking.
So we're going to flashback this Cabal Therapy, nail that Flusterstorm that he knows about. And then
wow.
If he had a Mana Source here, he'd actually just be able to win the game.
Yeah, time walk.
Instead, he's going to Time Walk, he's going to get another token. And then play Fast
also
Bond.
play Fast
Okay.
Bond, because sure, why not?
Let's see. Oh, Fast Bond's in play, Time Walk.
Yeah, Sean really wants to draw a Black Swords.
Yeah, he does. He draws a Hercules. Wow.
Oh, no!
That's game, boys.
No! The bullet!
Oh, man.
The bullet!
Hercules Recall was a huge blowout there. I'm gonna
that was
put,
so savage. Put it all, pick him up.
Yeah, I
Pick
feel
him
like
up.
Tim, if he had cracked that Lotus in response to Yogg-Will and Flusterstormed, I think he would have been okay. I think he would have been okay this game.
Yeah,
Like how he gets to flashback a recall.
I think he was baiting. Yeah, he was. You're right. He was baiting the force, but I
He
think
could've
you
just
are
countered
right.
the force.
Yeah,
Like-
you counter the force.
You have a recall, you have a Black Lotus, and a Yogg-Will.
That's
Like
right.
that's the combo.
That's right.
Everything on top of that is just icing on the cake. So just make that happen.
The value Yogg-Will.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't need to be I win the game. Like if you're playing it to bait a spell, why not counter that spell and then draw 3 cards?
It certainly feels like it should be though. It should win. Oh boy. Whenever you Vintage is the only time when you draw a white border card and you're really excited.
Yeah.
I mean, like in Magic, right? You could be playing any format, and a white border card's like, well, this land's kind of ugly.
Yeah.
But in Vintage, when you draw your white border card, you're like, holy cow, this card makes 3 mana of any color for 0 mana.
This is the most expensive card in my deck.
Yeah, or this thing draws 3 cards, or unbelievable, untold power.
Sometimes it's the Blue Explorer, sometimes it's just Time Twister.
Yeah, sometimes it's just Time Twister. Time Twister is a sweet card. Time Twister's legal in EDH.
If any of you guys were watching the Vintage Rotisserie draft this weekend, John Laps actually drafted a very cool deck. It reminded me of the Tolarian Academy combo decks back then. It had a bunch of draw 7s. The thing is, though, is it wasn't playing Time Twister because we got a mana floating. We've got a deck on the stack.
Oh, he's showing him the Force Will. He's showing it to him.
And we're gonna preordain with that leftover mana. But
That's awesome.
John Laux's deck, it had like things like Wheel of Fortune, but it wasn't playing Time Twister because the way it was winning was with Sphinx's tutelage. And so you play a Time Twister and they get to shuffle all those cards back in, so you don't want that to happen.
Wow.
And so, just like the old blue combo decks used to kill with like a Magrim while they're activating Memory Jar a million times, killing with Sphinx's tutelage, a blue way of doing almost the same thing.
That's awesome. Explore. That's so crazy. I love Magic, man. Magic's the best game.
That's another very sweet format. I wish more of it got aired. Apparently there were some issues with the weather and
I think
lost connection with the internet, but
Paul Waite's house lost power.
Yeah.
That's what that can be attributed to.
We had Modern No Ban list that same day, and we didn't have any issues here at Card Kingdom. So
Yeah.
that made me very happy.
All right. So it looks like Sean used tutoring for a land. It's going to be a Trop most likely.
I assume so. You had all your colors. You're not really that worried about Wasteland, especially out of decks like Big Blue control decks.
Yeah, Big Blue is actually kind of a Tinker-based control deck. It also plays it plays Tezzeret as well.
I believe so, yeah. Tezzeret's very powerful in Vintage. There's a library and another turn.
That library, okay. It was signed. I was like, man.
It's got some markings on it.
Yeah. Well, Tim Stone is known for having some questionably playable power.
Okay.
He has a lot of it, but you're just like, that's right on the edge. You should see his Lotus. It's pretty insane. Oh, man, he's tinkering away.
So he's tinkering this top. You sadly can't flip top in response.
He's also extremely ballsy. I mean, like a guy he's just going white steel. What you got?
Well, he knew Sean didn't have a force.
That's
otherwise
right.
he would have resolved that deck. And
Floating
now the
a lot.
deck's been played.
Yeah.
We got 3 mana floating. I feel like he only needed to float 2.
You know what?
Really,
He has
but-
the Yogg-Will.
Yeah, he does. So that'll get casted. He's going to draw. That's a Vamp Tutor and a Regrowth. So he's actually got a lot of things he can do. this turn.
Yogg-Will. Uh-oh.
And there's a Lotus in Sean's graveyard, and like that's kind
And
of the
a Dak
combo.
Faden.
Yeah. Dak Faden is very good here.
Yeah, Dak Faden is just gonna he's just gonna go num 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 num. That's my Blight Steel.
I would like a Blightstone Colossus. And Tim knows. that
Tim
he's
knows
probably
it's
dead
coming.
here.
He's just sitting there. He's just sitting there.
He went all in on that Tinker, and it turned out that Vintage is a format where you do have answers for cards like what's that guy's name? I always
Dude, there's a
forget Blightstone.
corgi that just walked by.
Yeah, dude.
How can
Sometimes
we
there's
how
corgis
can we cast when there's corgis around?
We really need a Corgi cam.
You know what? That would be great. If there was a corgi over here, I'd probably just cast every day.
Yeah.
And then pet the corgi.
I know that Hallie and Robert.
Ali
bring
Santo.
their-
Yeah, that's right.
They bring their corgis here quite a bit. And
What
they
is he
just-
doing?
Looks like he's casting Preordain. You know.
Oh, I thought he was. I thought he was
thought he was
trying
leading with
drawing
Dak.
2 with Dak. I was like, what the heck?
Gotta get that value. Gotta find an answer for that Blightstone Colossus.
But now he doesn't have a blue card to pitch to his Force of Will.
Yep. What a letdown.
Oh my. Absurd games. Magic's great.
Magic is a great format.
Magic's good. That's a great game.
Magic rules.
Look at this. Snapcaster Mage flashing back Time Walk. He would like another chance. How do you feel about that, Sean? How do you feel about that, Sean? All right. Sean's going to let him have it. Force Will would have been pretty good there. And there's a land. And he's dead. All right. That was crazy. Dak Faden, greatest thief in the multiverse. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and go to Be Right Back really quickly.
Yeah, we just got pairings signed up, so we're gonna figure out who the next match is and be right back. So stay tuned, guys.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the booth, guys. Josh Monks, Jordan Isaka. So we got our 4th round set up. They're getting down to the match right now, sitting in the feature match area. We're getting their names all changed up. So we got Rob Huntsacker. Huntsacker? How do you pronounce the last
Rob
name?
Huntsacker.
Huntsacker?
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's a made-up last name.
Yeah, it's probably imaginary. I've never heard anyone else with that name, and that's how net last names work. So.
Yeah.
He's playing, I believe he's playing Shardless Bug, and then on the other side of the table we've got Maverick. So I don't know if it's the Green Sun version or the Vile version. I'm going to imagine that it's the Green Sun version. That's a little bit more common.
Yes.
I don't actually know how these decks play out. They're both kind of green-black X decks. Shardless is a lot more spell-oriented. Obviously, it's a blue deck, whereas
Right.
Maverick is a lot more creature-oriented, Mother Runes, Thalia, things like that. So I feel like this match is slightly in Maverick's favor if they manage to stick something like a Thalia with the Mother Runes to protect it.
Yeah. You know what's kind of interesting is, again, we're kind of seeing the weakness of a deck like Shardless Bug, because while it is powerful and it does straddle in terms of where it wants to play its cards, it does have issues in dealing with decks that are on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So we saw Shardless Bug having trouble dealing with combo, and we're also going to see it have trouble deal with kind of an aggro deck a deck that's kind of built around creatures and creature disruption as well.
Yeah, so it loses a little bit of the power that some harder control decks have, simply because it's playing cards like Tarmogoyf and Shardless Agent,
that's right.
which are not great against creature decks that are tuned to be creature decks and beat other creature decks.
Right.
And also, it's very cool that Maverick is one of the few decks that can actually counter Abrupt Decay with the rules of the game. Because Abrupt Decay targets, and you make a target illegal, that spell has to fizzle. It can't resolve.
Well, the Runes is like an excellent card that certainly stops that. But I'm kind of interested to see that what sideboard cards Rob has access to. I know that he actually has access to a couple of Golgari Charms as well.
Yeah,
that card's going to be very powerful.
That's a very powerful spell. So is Toxic Deluge, which every single Shardless deck has. And, one of the cards that a lot of Shardless decks are starting to play now is Night of Soul's Betrayal.
That's
very powerful.
Yeah, that's right. The issue with Night of Soul's Betrayal is that it's actually a million mana. It's the same amount of mana as Jace the Mind Sculptor. So if you can cast it through getting Wastelanded and through getting Rashadan ported and through Thalia, that would be great. But it's all about those ifs.
Yeah.
Oh man, and Dylan has a Knight of the Reliquary. That card's obviously amazing.
Very strong. He's also got a Spirit of the Labyrinth and a Mother Runes.
Oh, he has a Spirit of the Labyrinth.
So he's got a very nice curve. I believe I saw a Spirit of the Labyrinth.
Spirit of the Labyrinth very good against Chardless.
Yeah.
Not Chardless.
Chardless Bug.
Chardless Bug. Yeah.
Mayberek
This is
Chardless.
This is kind of like this is like the less known version of Shardless. It's called Chardless, and it actually runs red for Whip Flare.
What?
No, but I actually have seen Whip Flare being a card that was played in some Shardless Bug builds. It actually does not hit your. It doesn't hit your Baleful Strix, and it doesn't hit your Shardless Agent.
Okay.
And it doesn't kill your Tarmogoyf either.
Yeah. So
very
there's a Spirit
cool.
of the Labyrinth that's going to get eaten there.
Oh, of course.
And it looks like the rest of the hand is Deathrite Shaman and a Wasteland.
Yeah.
So
Rob is not happy.
Rob, however, did play basic Swamp there, and then saw a Waste, and he's like, haha, yeah, I'm really good at this game. We're going to play around these cards. We're going to see a Deathrite here, and I imagine it's just a turn shift back.
I'll tell you what, Rob is not happy. When a man plays a Mother Runes that beats your uncounterable removal spell, you're not happy. And it's not good.
What's really gross is Rob had to take the Spirit of Labyrinth there because he just wouldn't be able to brainstorm anything like this if that Spirit of Labyrinth's in play.
Yeah. And Dylan had access to, of course a Deathrite Shaman is going to be able to trump any Deathrite Shaman that Rob is going to have off the top. And Tarmogoyf. Yeah, Tarmogoyf, but guess who gets outclassed by Tarmogoyf? I mean, like...
Mother Runes does.
Well, Mother Runes, Knight of the Reliquary is just huge here. Huge. Because the other issue is that when you're playing a 3-colored mid-range deck, you don't run a lot of basics. You really don't.
So we're going to see Eat That Land. I'm going to play a 3-drop and waste you on turn 2.
And Knight of the Reliquary is already bigger. Already bigger than Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, that's what, 3, 4? No, actually, Spirit of the Labyrinth's an enchantment creature, so Tarmogoyf does get a stat there.
That's right. That's certainly true. But, Abrupt Decay in hand for Rob doesn't have access to green mana. Jeez, man, this is going to be a tough game.
Very awkward for Rob. And Rob also had a Polluted Delta there, so I believe he runs a basic forest.
Right.
But he just wouldn't be able to fetch for it. And Dylan is just going to turn this Knight of the Reliquary into what it should be every time, which is I'm going to waste you 4 turns in a row.
He's just going to cast Armageddon essentially with his Knight of the Reliquary. He's already got massive protection for all the spells that Rob could have in his main deck, besides maybe a Toxic Deluge. And that's really the only card that Rob could have that would certainly save him here. It looks pretty... Rob is in pretty dire straits. He really needs some sideboard support to beat Maverick.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the issue that Shardless Bug has with the power level of its cards. They're good at straddling certain matchups. Abrupt Decay good against killing Delver. Not so good against killing Mother Runes.
One of the things that happens in these Bug decks... They're a lot better when they untap with a Deathrite Shaman on turn 1.
Yes.
And so if you can set that up, they're insane. When you're casting 3 drops early, like your mid-range strategy just trumps a lot of aggressive strategies. However, when your opponent has a Deathrite and you don't, you're very far behind. Normally the deck is a turn to a turn and a half behind.
That's right.
But all of a sudden it's 2 to 3 turns behind simply because its opponent has a Deathrite and is trying to cast 3 mana spells. It's also now getting wasted out of the game while its opponent has a Deathrite. I don't think the Charlies can come back from this. We're going to see 2-mana Thoughtseize here to eat a Deathrite Shaman, but really not that powerful.
Yeah, and Thalia is really doing a lot of work, too. If you were to play a Shardless Agent exactly on curve, and you were to flip into any spell, the spell that you flip over you just can't cast because Thalia makes it cost 1 more.
Yeah, exactly.
Assuming it's not a creature, of course.
Yeah. I assume it's going to be an Abrupt Decay, because there's a Mother Runes in play, so that's how that interaction works out.
It's just, and the man is really getting squeezed for Charlotte Agent here. Maverick might actually be a pretty good choice, a pretty good deck to play. Having a lot of creatures in play at a time. I mean, you got to hope that they don't draw their Toxic Delusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Cards like Toxic Delusion, Golgari Charm is so good against board states like this.
Yeah. But Knight of the Reliquary is really good. I mean, the big issue with Knight of the Reliquary in Modern is that there's not a lot of good lands to get.
Yeah, you can't get Wasteland. Tech Edge is pretty good, but it doesn't do the same thing Wasteland does, which is make things like this not be games.
Right. Knight of the Reliquary is actually just like a 13-13 here. I'm pretty certain.
It's just getting bigger and bigger while it's forcing Rob to keep top-decking lands just to be able to play spells.
Yeah, just to be able to play Magic. And I think what's happening right now is Rob really wants to kill that Mother Runes. He really needs to get in, have the Mother Runes activate with it on his Tarmogoyf, and then play Abrupt Decay, which is something that he's probably going to be trying to do now.
Rob has 3 Abrupt Decays in his hand.
Yeah, but he can't cast them because it's Thalia.
Yeah, Thalia is just shutting him down.
Yeah, Knight of the Reliquary is really showing why it's a great card, very powerful card. Can even find cards like Karakas. You see that card in play. Very good against cards like Emrakul and Griselbrand. But also, Knight of the Reliquary can protect yourself versus cards like Delver. You can find Maze of Ith, which can really shut people down. Wasteland being another great card. It can protect itself in some cases with Yavimaya Hollow or Sijiri Step. That's getting a little more techy.
Yeah. There's also these decks always play Dryad Arbor. I've seen some people play Bajuka Bog. Sometimes it's a sideboard card. Just an instant speed, exile your graveyard. I've also seen some decks play things as strange as Tower of the Magistrate.
Yeah.
Which
Rob's going to try to cast as a replica.
Yeah, I imagine so. Dylan's going to say, hey, I've got a Thalia in play. And then Rob's like, oh, yeah, all right, fair enough. And then next turn he's going to try and cast an Abrupt Decay.
We should tell him.
He's playing Brainstorm. He knows.
Okay.
He's spending 2 mana on Brainstorm. That's what I like to see. And those cards don't do anything, so Rob's going to go ahead and pick it up here. I don't think he can come back from that board unless he hit a Toxic Delusion. So that's what that Brainstorm is trying to find. Instead, he's going to Brainstorm lock himself and not be able to draw.
I mean, there was nothing he could have done. I mean, the matchup is just atrocious. Like Maverick, you're seeing the power of Maverick. Like, while it is a deck that seems like you just naturally top deck, you actually have access to a lot of tutors. Greensun's Zenith is incredibly strong and incredibly powerful. And of course, Knight of the Reliquary, man, that card can control the game, it can control the board, it makes it so you don't die, it kills your opponent's lands, and at the very end of the day, hey, it's a 12-12. Welcome to the show.
Absolutely.
Really powerful. We see a bunch of cards come in. Nihil Spellbomb also comes in. Nihil Spellbomb targets a specific graveyard, so it'll shrink Knight of the Reliquary out of the game. He's bringing in Golgari Charm as well. I mean, this is where a lot of the support comes from Rob. So I gotta believe that these cards that he's bringing are gonna be extremely helpful. That's a Disfigure as well. Yeah. And it's kind of tough because Rob's deck certainly straddles a lot more of the meta. And then like a deck like Maverick is just so cranked to one side of the metagame that it's hard to get to play the game.
Absolutely. So looking at these sideboards, I guess that's actually Rob's main deck, not a sideboard. I was like, looks like he's got some Baleful Strixes in the board.
Yeah.
That's definitely main deck.
Yeah, and he definitely
good in these matchups.
He probably wants to keep that in. A Death Touch blocker being able to kill a card like Knight of the Reliquary.
One of the things that a lot of people don't think about is you can pitch Baleful Strix to Force of Will all day.
Yeah, all day. It's a great card to play. It cantrips for itself. It blocks incredibly well. And if you spend a removal spell on it, you feel terrible because you drew a card already, right?
Absolutely.
But sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right?
It's definitely there as a huge roadblock that your opponent doesn't want to have to deal with.
Right.
It's a card that I really wish was in Modern. I feel like it would shake up the Modern metagame a lot.
Yeah.
Because currently Modern is getting dominated a lot by Gurmag Angler and Tasigur, and Baleful Strix is so good.
I mean, if Karakas was in the format, think about what Karakas would do to a card like Knight of the Reliquary. You can play alongside your Thalia. You can play alongside a lot of other cards. You can play alongside your Vendilion Click in the control deck. Oh, it'd be so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it would be good against like the Reanimator decks too, like the Griselbrand Reanimator deck. Like, there's so many implications where like cards like that are powerful, and yet Wizards just decides not to print them. So it's really too bad. I would be interested in Modern if they had tutors. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they're trying to step away from though. They want people to be playing fair Magic.
Yeah, but tutors really show the skill of a player too, right?
Absolutely.
Like, you have access to all these different cards. You built your deck. You've shaped your deck in a manner that when your tutor can find the card that beats them.
The problem is when you start adding tutors to decks, you start getting more and more degenerate, and I think they don't want an insanely degenerate format. Like Legacy has started to balance itself out with Force Will and Brainstorm, but
really
like
has.
I don't think that that's a recipe that WotC wants to create. I don't think Legacy is a format that they're super excited about simply because it's not approachable.
I think
not
if they
only
just
from
boiled Legacy down, though, and if Legacy was accessible to everybody, it'd be the best format. It'd be the perfect format.
I think Legacy is a great format, and I love playing it. I love watching it. It's my favorite format to cast on by a huge margin. But it's also incredibly not approachable. Like there's so many things
it's
going
really
on in this match. Not only in terms of a price point, but also in terms of an understanding how these matchups work. Like there's so many little things that go on that if you don't understand, you'll just lose every single game.
That is true. There's certainly an extremely steep learning curve. But it's also what makes, like, you know, we saw Sean Yu play, you know, in round 2, and just you know the plays that he set up, the amount of mastery that he had over the game was really high.
Yeah, the very subtle decisions that he made perfectly that he also didn't have to think about. Like those were the level 1 plays that you have to know to even play in this format.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just playing a 75 card deck in this format against
exactly.
Legacy.
Wow. And if you look at Dylan's hand, right, he's got double Wasteland fetch. He's got a Thalia. Man, there's just not a lot of good cards for Rob to take here, because each one of those cards that he leaves in his hand is really good. You know, like even the Stoneforge Mystic, even like the Stoneforge Mystic's powerful versus creatures. The Thalia is very good versus spells. The what is that? The Spirit of the Labyrinth is good versus, you know, any sort of cantrips, and Rob has a Brainstorm. So
yeah, I'm pretty impressed that there's a Sword of Fire and Ice in Dylan's deck. So I feel like you'd board that in against Shardless.
Certainly.
Equipment that can get Abrupt Decay gets significantly worse in this matchup. And in addition to that, it doesn't really give protection from very much. Like Baleful Strix is really the only, and I guess Shardless Station are really the only cards.
Yeah.
The color matters.
Yeah. I think the idea there is he wants to keep up on cards. Like being able to draw cards for his deck is incredibly powerful.
If I was Rob there, I actually would have probably taken the Deathrite Shaman because it was the only one drop in the hand.
Oh, he actually didn't have any top deck.
Oh, did he top deck?
Yeah,
I didn't notice
sacked
that.
it out a little
Okay.
bit.
We're going to see an Abrupt Decay in that Deathrite, though. Makes sense.
Yeah, certainly good.
Rob is very afraid of his opponent going Wasteland to you, play a 2-drop.
Right.
Which is definitely possible.
And Rob is, of course, another very proficient player. He's actually played a lot of Jund in his heyday. So, you know, he's playing Shardless Bug right now. Obviously a deck that's very powerful, but certainly a little bit out of the zone.
There's a GT off the top for Dylan.
Yeah, GT is so good. He just has equipment after equipment. Like he's what essentially Dylan's doing is Dylan's overloading the amount of removal that Shardless can carry.
Absolutely. And so Rob's going to Brainstorm here. I believe he had a Tarmogoyf in hand. I probably would have just played the Tarmogoyf, honestly.
Yeah, you know, it's such a problem because he's so far away from a lot of different spells that he wants to cast. Like, he really, like, casting the Brainstorm sort of allows him to set up his plays for the next X turns, right? Like, he probably won't crack his fetch, and he'll probably play, if he plays Baleful Strix, draws a land, and then plays Tarmogoyf. Like, that would be a pretty good sequence.
I would like that one a lot. Dylan does not have another land, it looks like.
He has a Wasteland. Oh, Wasteland is going to foil a lot of the plan that I just laid out, so...
I'm thinking Rob might be playing around with something like a...
oh, man. And Spirit makes Baleful Strix really awkward.
Yeah.
So
not as awkward as Brainstorm. Maybe that's why he played the Brainstorm. He knew there was a Spirit of Labyrinth coming. He wanted to generate value with it now.
Yeah. It's got to be Tarmogoyf.
What's really strange is that he didn't put a Brainstorm back. I feel like if my opponent's going to play Spirit, I don't want Brainstorms anymore. Certainly. And I think that Baleful Strix holds enough value in this matchup as just a Death Toucher that he might just want to hold on to it. Yeah, I think you hold on to that. I imagine that he's going to play a Tarmogoyf. Oh, it looks like he's not going to play Tarmogoyf here.
Yeah, hard to play Tarmogoyf off that mana. And he might just walk into the... I mean, like, he might believe he can draw a card, but he can't. Which is a possibility. It's always a possibility.
The thing is, though, is Baleful Strix does not block Thalia very well.
It really does not.
Thalia has first strike, so Death Touch doesn't even trigger.
That's not going to work at Brainstorm?
Well, it looks like he's going to go for Baleful Strix.
You not.
Draw a card, and I don't know what the...
Yeah, he has to put it back.
We'll just we'll let a judge deal with that.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's certainly not irreparable.
Yeah.
And both players missed it, so it's not like...
I believe this is the fix, though, is you reveal your hand to your opponent, and they select a card.
Are you serious?
I believe that's the fix.
That's so,
it used to just be a game loss.
That is so messed... Oh, okay.
It's definitely a lot nicer now than it was before.
Does it go to the bottom, or does it go to your graveyard?
I believe it gets shuffled back into your deck.
Okay.
They do not want to put it in your graveyard, otherwise people would intentionally draw extra cards. Like, you Brainstorm, you put a Gurmag Angler on top, and then you, like, draw a bunch of extra cards. You're like, oh, crap, look, I drew 6 extra cards.
Oh, that was Gurmag Angler.
I'm casting Gurmag Angler next turn.
That's kind of weird. That's too bad.
So it looks like he took the Abrupt Decay, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to go on in the library, but it's not a huge deal right now.
Cornejo, is that supposed to go in the library? So you don't get extra value?
The card that got drawn extra and
Yeah.
shuffled. I think it's supposed to get shuffled back in. I'm not 100% though.
Oh, jeez. He just drew Golgari Charm.
Oh, that's a huge draw for him. It will kill the Baleful Strix though.
What?
It will
Yeah,
kill the
well,
Baleful
whatever.
Strix.
I mean, he's got to play it. Like, you don't not play it.
He's probably going to slow roll this because he's probably thinking
Mother Runes,
Dylan's
yeah.
going to put a Mother Runes in the playoff.
And I'll tell you what. I'll tell you about the greediest players in Magic. And Rob Hunsaker.
I like this. He's going to chump
Yeah.
block this turn because he knows he's going to.
Oh, and it's going to unlock his Brainstorm. This is going to be insane.
He's going to 3 mana for the Golgari Charm, 1
Rob
mana.
is on the slow roll.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Rob is licking the chops, man.
Rob's going to get the best card in his hand shuffled into his library. No fear.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Rob is licking his chops right now.
Oh man, this is.
this is gonna get nuts. This
So Rob,
is
I
gonna get
imagine he's
gnarly.
going to fetch a forest here. He
Yeah.
really wants green mana.
Uh-oh. You know what? He's gonna get a trop, I think. He has to.
He's fetching with a
Because
bird.
he has a wasteland up. Oh, okay.
That's
sure.
why he's going
okay.
to get a forest.
Right.
He doesn't want to get wasted.
Well, because I think he needs the trops where he has the blue and then he has the fetch land as well. Because otherwise he's just gonna get this wasteland snapped off on him and he can't brainstorm.
Fair enough.
But I mean, like maybe
Maybe he's
whatever.
okay with that.
Golgari Charm.
I don't
Yahtzee.
I don't think he's too worried about getting wasted there because if he does, he just plays Liliana.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, Liliana, obviously.
I think he's got a
Immense
solid line no
pressure.
matter what happens
Immense
here.
pressure here.
And yeah, unless Dylan has a 1-drop
Yeah,
in his
wasteland,
hand. Oh, he's got another
He's got
wasteland.
a
Wow.
jump. What'd you say?
GTA no creature. So
Oh,
Rob's
that was-
probably a
did you
little
see
bit.
that top there?
What was it?
That was Toxic Deluge.
Oh, okay. So another great card in this matchup. We're gonna see another.
Yeah, so
we're
I
gonna
think
see
we're going to see
another-
Liliana right here.
We're gonna see another non-basic too into that wasteland. I
Yeah,
imagine
he-
it's gonna get wasted too.
He has to. There's no more. There's
yeah.
no more black sources.
Yeah, there's
right?
no more black sources.
There's no more
He probably
basics.
doesn't
Excuse
run
me.
an island. And even if he did have an island, he wants a black source.
Yeah,
for
he
Lily
needs
here.
to be able to play Lily. Uptick, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know what he's gonna pitch. I don't think you want to pitch the
I think you,
Deluge,
but I think you got to keep. I mean, you have a way to control the board already. Oh, he has a Forcible, and oh, that's right, he had the
Yes,
Forcible.
Forcible plus
yeah.
blue card.
And a Forcible, of course, not very good when all you have is like 2 or 3 cards in hand. He needs to find a threat. And what did he top deck? He has an abrupt. I think he pitched the Fire Ice. I think he has an abrupt decay in hand. So it's getting kind of crazy right now. But obviously Liliana on 4 can go ahead and minus and sack 2 things. Wow, this is getting a little crazy. No. Oh yeah, it is. Oh man, and there's look at that.
We got a Baleful
Guess who
Strix here.
draws a card?
No Thalia in play right
And
now.
no Thalia in play, or no Spirit. Yeah, that's right. No Spirit. That Wasteland's going to be pretty powerful.
I'm surprised he didn't waste earlier.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Rob actually drew one of the few win conditions in Charlotte's-Bug, which is Tarmogoyf.
I don't think he's too worried about Tarmogoyf though. It's not actually a huge steal here.
I mean, Tarmogoyf is just massive. Like, Tarmogoyf is going to outclass any deck or any card in Dylan's deck, bar Knight of the Reliquary.
Yeah, Knight of the
Right?
Reliquary, and the thing is, it's very easy to get removed.
Oh, yeah.
Maverick plays
Liliana.
4 swords main deck, so
Right. Oh, Tarmogoyf, yeah.
Yep.
And then also, like, Liliana's sack is going to be pretty good. Except for, like, the crazy thing about it is Dylan can go ahead and activate that Vial end of turn, drop in Knight, hook up the Jit, okay? And then he can use his waste, and then he can go ahead and use the Knight to activate and go get Dried Arbor and sack Dried Arbor to Liliana,
Yeah.
right? So he actually has kind of a really nice line of play if he has Knight of the Reliquary. Knight of the Reliquary, an insanely powerful card, of course. And here's Tarmogoyf, right? Here's the win condition.
absolutely. Tarmogoyfs are very big. We got enchantment,
Man.
we got artifact.
Did you see how quickly that game shifted with
Oh, yeah.
Golgari Charm?
It
That
was that
Golgari
one
Charm was
Golgari
just
Charm.
absolutely massive. And the crazy thing about it was, if Dylan had his equipment hooked up, game's over.
Yeah.
Game's over. You
Yeah,
know?
that's sort of been suited up. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
And what's kind of interesting about it is Rob almost had foresight. He almost had foresight with that Thoughtseize, to say that, okay, the outs that I can top deck off my deck, if I take the Stone... I mean, obviously Stoneforge Mystic is a card you want to take anyways, but if I take your Stoneforge Mystic and all you have is 1 toughness, guys, I can top deck Golgari Charm and it's going to be a hoser. It's
If
going
I
to be a
4 for
blowout.
1 you here, it's going to be insane.
Right. Man, Dylan is not happy. You saw how he just rotated that dice. He's not having a good day.
Yeah, Dylan is not excited about this.
Yeah,
matchup
really
anymore.
not.
He does have an end step Thalia.
Activate Thalia.
But,
Ooh, and you know what? What's it called? GTA with a first striker is actually pretty dope.
yeah, very true,
That's
very
really
true.
nice.
Because normally you would just double block. You would suit
Yeah.
you would block up with the Baleful Strix.
He can actually double strike down. If Rob goes to gang block, he can double strike down the
Like first strikes the Death Ray Shaman.
Yeah, no.
Then,
First strike, yeah, then pings the what's it called before
the Baleful Strix before
regular
damage.
damage. Yeah, before regular damage. Very nice play, of course. Oh my gosh, and Maverick player right here is just. It's looking bad because Vial on 2 really doesn't mean a whole lot.
If he's got a 2-drop in his hand, he's in slightly better shape though because he can Vial in something in response to the Liliana activation.
That's right.
But
and he does have something on 2. He does. I think he has a Gadok Teague in hand.
I think he discarded Gadok Teague. It's right there in his graveyard, hanging out next to the word Maverick.
Unless he does the Alex Bertoncini, where he bounces back the
Explorer?
No. He had a Curse Scroll and a Jace, and he would use the Jace to take down the shields of what's that card called? Blue 1. Merfolk plays it to protect their guys.
Kira,
the Great Last Spinner, and then he was supposed to get shocked by the Curse Scroll, but then Bertoncini actually picks up the Kira and puts it back into his hand, while there's another Kira in his graveyard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Another classic cheat.
Makes sense.
Look out for it.
Not here, though.
Not here, though. Certainly not here.
Oh, well, actually, you know what? There is 2 Gadok Teagues.
I told you. I told you. He has a Gadok Teague in hand. I told you. This guy. We need a spotter. We need a spotter here because this is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is just ridiculous.
On the WotC stream, they got the names of the cards next to the players' hands. Very
yeah, they got
tell.
spotters. They got extra cams. I'm just saying.
This is too funny. But you know what? There were 2 Gadok Teagues visible at the same time, so it was not pulling a Bertoncini. There's a Pithing Needle now, though. I imagine that's going to be naming that
Liliana. Oh, in play. Oh, no, I thought the Maverick player drew it.
Jordan, out of control.
I don't know what's going on. Magic's way too hard. Magic's hard, guys.
We got too many zones, too many cards.
For everybody at home, Magic's hard.
Yeah.
Magic is way hard.
Heard it here first.
Oh, boy.
Confirmed on stream.
Magic's hard. Welcome.
It's hard to watch. It's hard to play.
What's cost 2 mana? Oh, Aether Vial costs 2 mana.
Yeah, 1-drops without even play cost 2 mana.
That's right.
It's too bad that Pithing Needle isn't naming Vial.
Actually,
I mean, you still wouldn't name Jite, but...
Yeah, I think you absolutely still name Jite. I love how he turned it to... I love how Dylan actually turned the dice to 5. He put the dice on top of his deck, and he's like, you know what? 5.
What's the 5-mana spell in his deck?
Well, I'm just saying that he just turned the dice to 5 before he put the dice. He put the dice down and then he turned it to 5.
Yes.
So I mean, like, what does that mean? Maybe he wants to draw a 5-drop.
Maybe he wants to Green Sun for 4 or Green Sun for 3. Sorry.
Oh, activate Vial. There's Stoneforge Mystic.
Oh, Batter Skull. That's 5.
Oh boy.
Boy.
I think did the tables turn a little bit?
I don't know. There's still that Pithing Needle in play on Jite, so Thalion.
Yeah, you know what
isn't that
sucks
scary?
is that even though this Batter Skull is being drawn, even though this Batter Skull is getting put into hand, he's gonna have problems because like once he loses the token, I mean like what is he gonna do? Equip? You can't equip it with 2 mana.
It costs 3 mana to bounce back to your hand,
And then once you bounce it back, you bounce it back EOT, right? And then you don't get snapped off by
Liliana.
Liliana.
Absolutely.
Look at this. Dylan debating what could be on top of the deck. He's doing that Randy Bueller. What's on top of the deck? What's on top of the deck?
Knock the top of the deck.
Oh my God.
Char the face, knock the top of the deck.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God, it's hiding.
If there's a lot of new players out there, I think it's really important to go watch the classic blowouts of Magic Pro Tour history.
Yeah,
right. We're talking about the Lightning Helix play.
Channel Fireball actually has a video. It's top 5 plays. They do a lot of top 5s, and it's a great one. They have there's a line. Someone's playing Dragonstorm, and he tries to go off. And he doesn't have enough mana.
Shape it.
No, not that one. It's a different one. Japanese player. He doesn't have enough mana to go
off,
but
that's
he thinks
right.
he does.
That's right.
And he starts going off and goes, oh no, and you can tell his opponent's excited. I think it might actually Chopin was his opponent.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Ritzel. But he was like, oh, my opponent doesn't have enough mana. This is great. And so he casts like a cantrip and draws.
Manamorphose.
Yeah, Manamorphose draws into the mana or the ritual he needs, and then goes off and wins the game.
Insane.
It's like one of the most insane ones. And then obviously, yes, there's the Chapin line with the Ignite Memories. While his opponent has a Dragonstorm in
Ignite
play.
Memories
and
for 5.
Maiden, I think, and it's
one
for
where
5.
the guy knows the other guy's list, so he thought seizes him and then writes down the rest of what's in his hand, or he surgical him or something like that, and so then he writes down what has to be in his hand by the end of his graveyard and the rest of the deck.
Oh wow. My God.
That's
pretty good. Something weird where he didn't get to see his hand, but he got to go through the deck. So he just laid down the deck and writes
that's weird.
Interesting.
Welcome to Legacy, boys. Hooking up the Jite. I'm not. Yeah. What is going on? Is he attacking with Jite?
I don't know. It's going all over the place.
Yeah.
Dahlia's still equipped. Batterskull's still equipped to a Germ. Sports State is okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like, Rob now has a Creeping Tar Pit, which randomly got put into play somehow. I mean, we didn't see it.
We were too busy talking about other stuff. But
Yeah,
the Sports
talking about-
State from Charlotte is just out of control. I don't think there's a way creature decks can get through this.
Yeah, talking about way cooler Magic cards. And what's crazy about it is originally, Maverick player plays the defense, right? He's going to play defense and have Knight of the Reliquary and tick up Knight of the Reliquary and just smash face.
It's a
right?
mid-range deck.
Yeah. But what happens right now is that now you see the Charlotte's player kind of playing defense, and you see just tons of Deathrite Shamans. There's Deathrite Shamans all over the place.
Yeah. Deathrite Shaman's going to be how he wins this game. Looks
Yeah.
like he's going to activate Creeping Tar Pit. I just
Yeah.
like draining you with Deathrite Shaman twice a turn and attacking with Tarmogoyf.
Oh man, he's actually getting in with the Baleful Strix.
I like it. Baleful
Yeah.
Strix has flying.
Baleful Strix is a house.
evasive.
Like, I've actually died to that. Who did he just activate his Tar Pit and then
Not attack?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
that's,
like it.
That's weird.
He needs
That's
the mana
so-
to activate Deathrite Shaman.
That's so weird. What is you, Rob?
Wanted him to use his wasteland.
That was the trollest
Oh,
move.
he was trying to bait out the
That
Wasteland.
was. Oh, okay. He was trying to bait the
when your
Wasteland.
Maverick player has a Wasteland in play,
I
you
love
want
how
him to use it.
I love how he moved his tar pit up to the top of the border like he was gonna attack, and he's like,
Declare attacks.
go. Attack for what? That was hilarious. That was hilarious.
It didn't work there, but I could see it working.
He
like,
wanted him to wasteland him. That
like
was,
normally
that
you'd
was
have to attack with the
wasteland.
Tar Pit.
You activate tar pit, tank, attack for 1, tank, and then maybe 3, but maybe not.
Like
Tank,
Colonnade is
go.
the one where you want to waste their Tech Edge before they attack with it because it's got Vigilance. But all the rest of them, you want them to attack and commit that mana.
Yeah, that was absurd. That was funny. Rob's a big troll.
Rob Baitsacker.
Rob Baitsacker, man. Rob, I mean, to be honest, Rob's an extremely good player. He's a pro tour player.
Yeah, he's been on the PTO.
He's made it to the show. He's competent. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
And he always plays these mid-range decks.
He always cackles.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got a legendary cackle.
He's great. Not as legendary as CML. CML has the best cackle.
Yes.
CML's laugh is just like you can hear it across the room.
That's
You
very
can hear it in the
nihilistic
next
cackle,
state.
though.
Yeah, it's probably louder than my laugh, and I'm pretty loud.
Yeah, you're pretty loud. We got a mic really close to you though, so you don't need to be too loud.
Oh, my bad.
You can always chill out just a little bit.
No, it's way too exciting. Magic's great. Magic's great.
Yeah, Magic's
That's
cool,
what I'm
dude.
getting at, guys.
Magic rules.
Is
That's
if
what
you're
we do.
if you're at home and you're thinking about coming to Legacy, you really should just show up because
Yeah.
you never know.
Legacy
and you,
communities are great.
yeah, they're awesome. You know, we go and get food after.
Yeah, barbecue, Bitterroot
Oh,
afterwards. So
yeah,
exciting.
Bitterroot. Yeah, it's open till 2, and they got pizza after as well. You know, so if you're sitting at home and you're like, I got this Legacy deck, I don't know if I should come out. You really should just come out, and you might end up on stream, and you might end up playing against a guy like Sean Yu, and you might style on him real hard. You know, you might do something crazy. And I'll tell you what. When you style on a player and you make him look crazy, you do some crazy play. It's awesome. That's
know.
magic.
We
That's
know.
Yeah, and we'll even call it out for you. We'll be like, that play was insane. That play was insane. Now, granted, if you make a bad play, you gotta roll with the punches, right?
Yeah. We're gonna
Bad
call
play-
that too.
Yeah, we're gonna call that
We're
as
gonna
well.
call it like we see it.
Yeah, and that's kind of just what it's all about. That's what casting's all about.
And I'm just gonna say, in related to some sweet plays, Modern No Ban list on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
The fourth
Oh, yeah.
round, game 2 was insane. So we had this hate deck, this green hate deck. It had just Green Sun Zenith for Sigarda versus a board of Liliana, while
Oh my god.
the hate deck was at 4, and
Yeah.
Jake was playing Mardu mid-range deck,
Yeah.
Deathrite Shaman, Lingering Soul, Stoneforge Mystic. He top decks Crackling Doom.
Oh no.
While the Greg playing this hate deck is at 2 with the Sigarda in play.
Oh my god.
It turns out Crackling Doom still resolves, does everything it tries to do, which is include deal 2 damage to the
Oh,
opponent.
that's so sad. That's so sad. You just don't sack. 2 to the face.
We also
you know?
wanted to know what happened if you Ultimate Liliana while you have a Sigarda in play.
Nothing. Oh, wait. No, there's something happens.
Yes.
Something happens.
There is text on that card. It is separate your opponent's permanents into 2 piles. End.
Go.
And I think you have to make some meaningful decisions on those piles.
Right.
But in the end, it actually doesn't.
Choose this one and then also get the other one.
Yeah.
What
Have
will
your
be
cake,
funny,
eat it too.
What will be funny is that if you separated them into 2 piles and then you activated your Chaos Order. It's like, boom. That would be great. That would be a game. But, anyways, here we go. Game 3. Charlotte's versus Maverick. You know, Charlotte's sort of a new age. I guess it was pioneered by Jerry T.
Yeah.
Would you say so?
He definitely
You know,
revolutionized a lot
Yeah.
of pieces of the deck.
Charlotte's Agent, you know, a mid-range blue deck, powerful, a lot of good spells. Kind of got that randomness factor. Got that Hearthstone
Variance,
fact,
yeah.
that Hearthstone
Oh,
variance
yeah.
going on.
Yes.
Yeah, knife juggler. What happens? and you got Maverick. You know, Maverick being a kind of the powerhouse mid-range green deck. You know, really, really reminiscent of honestly, what I think a modern deck should look like.
Yeah.
I think a modern deck should look like Maverick.
It attacks from a lot of angles. It has a lot of tools to work with. There's a
Yeah.
lot of decisions to make. And sure, a lot of it is based on creatures, but I mean, the creatures are very interactive. Like
Yeah.
Thalia, Spirit of the Labyrinth, Deathrite Shaman.
They're
Mother
powerful.
Runes.
They're good. Yeah, and in my opinion, you know, if you want to get Jordan Isaka's opinion on how modern should look, it should look kind of like Maverick, and it should look kind of like maybe Stoneblade, Shardless Bug, you know, and then like the combo deck should be kind of powered, kind of good. But I don't, you know, and like, but that's kind of what separates, you know, Legacy from modern is that then you also have those decks like Tin Fins, the deck that we watched today, who are just kind of a little crazy. It's just a little off the chain.
Yeah, a little too powerful for modern, I feel.
Yeah, that deck's a little warp speed right there. Oh man, Magic's great. You know what is great though is coming up this weekend. I actually have myself versus Greg Mitchell
Is
in.
it just versus anyone? I think anyone can challenge you, can't they?
Anyone can challenge me, but so far the only the only match that I have set up. I know that Corbett Gray's challenged
Yeah.
me. I'm kind of scared. He's kind of good.
He's
But,
pretty good.
Yeah, you know, I've actually been challenged by Greg Mitchell, and we're gonna do a 3-on-3 Hearthstone style.
Yeah, Conquest.
Yeah, Conquest style match, and we're just gonna be playing, and we're gonna have some casters.
I'm gonna be there.
Josh Monks is gonna be there. Casey Hogan, Jordan McQueen, a lot of big. Seattle Legacy community members are going to be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. You guys should totally join in. It's just going to be crazy. It's certainly NSFW.
Yeah. A little bit more adult.
Yeah, not safe for the work environment, but you guys should tune in, and here we go. We got Maverick with a fetch. Man, I bet you, what if he runs that Vial out? What if he runs that Mother Runes out? It could be anything. It could even be a boat.
I don't know
it
if boats
could
cost
be a
one
boat.
mana.
It could be a boat. Oh man, Dak Fate.
But so the channel for that, it's not going to be on Card Kingdom stream. I don't think that they'd be okay with that.
Yeah, it's
but,
certainly not going to be on
it's
their
going to be
stream.
on Jordan's stream. That's
Yeah.
Blitz Terran. So twitch.tv/BlitzTerran.
Blitz Terran. You guys, if you guys are frequenters of Magic the Seattle, maybe you've seen one of my my streams go up of me playing Cube Draft. It's always crazy.
Always
It
fun to
usually.
watch.
Oh, did he?
That's the play. This
did
is why I
he
like Vial
activate Vial, put in Dryad Arbor.
Yeah, Dryad
oh,
Arbor is a
man.
creature with CMC 0. You can certainly activate Vial well. It's got
They
0
call that
counters,
the
put it in.
ramp train, baby. That was nuts.
The only
That
way
was
this gets
nuts.
better is if you go Wasteland, Thalia, Mother of Runes, go. It looks like he's just going to play a GT here. So
Which,
not,
which is not as exciting,
yeah.
but
So
still kind of
basically,
exciting.
he just gave the Dryad Arbor haste. He just turned it into a regular land for a turn. But,
yeah, I mean,
that could have
that's
been
not
insane.
bad. It can also carry the GT, so you never really know. Oh, man.
You got a Pithing Needle, though.
Pithing Needle,
I don't know
pretty good.
I don't know what that's going to be on. It's either going to be GT or Vial. And Dylan might want to respond to this by flashing in that Mother of Runes. I know he has one in play, and if that Vial gets named, he's not going to be able to put in
You know
Mother
what's
in
crazy, though?
response.
If he puts the Mother Runes in play, then he knows that he can just name Mother Runes with the Vial.
Well, sure, but
Yeah.
then he gets to have an active GT or an active Vial. So he gets both of those
Oh, I
activated.
see.
And
That yeah, that's kind of weird. There's like all these weird implications to
There's
putting
some
the
meaningful
Pithing Needle too.
decisions.
Yeah,
I believe
certainly.
it's on Pithing Needle, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's on Pithing Needle.
Or it's on Aether Vial.
Oh, Aether Vial.
I believe
Yeah,
it's
I
on
think
it.
so.
He pointed at Vial when it happened.
Yeah.
So I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. Can we get someone to check?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. But in the meantime, we got Jace Vern's Prodigy.
Yeah.
Oh man, what an all-star
Spicy
card.
meatball.
Spicy meatball.
GT? Okay, it's on GT. So we're going to see
I'll tell you what. Jace Vern's Prodigy gives me hope for blue decks all around the world. Blue decks in Modern, not necessarily blue decks in Legacy. I actually believe it's slightly underpowered. But having said that, you know, I think it's a card that could see some play. I mean, 2 mana for a Planeswalker, that's not bad.
Yeah.
2 mana for a looter. Think about this. What happens if you played Jace Vern's Prodigy, you activated it, you flipped it, right? You draw, you discard, and the card you discard is Gristlebrand, and then you reanimate.
Yeah, it
You
seems very
flashback
fun.
reanimate.
What's even cooler is then you can also, if you have a reanimate in your hand, you can target a Force Will in your graveyard, pitch a blue card, flashback that Force Will off its ultimate cost.
Oh,
Because
that's right.
People
That's
don't
right.
know this about Jace. Jace does not gives the card flashback. You can cast it like Snapcaster Mage. It lets you cast it from your graveyard like Yawgmoth will.
As though it was in your hand. So Gush.
Yeah, you can
Daze?
alt cast, you can
Oh
soft
my-
cast, you can kick, you
Ooh,
can.
getting a little spicy over here. Getting spicy.
I'm not sure how it works with fuse cards. I think fuse
get a-
state.
you-
Well, I think fuse states when you play this from your hand. Do this.
Okay.
You make split them
Okay.
together, but I'm not 100% sure.
Getting a little crazy over here. Vial. We got some spells flying back and forth. Although, you know, Rob did lose his Jace Vern's Prodigy. So
Yeah, it got swords real quick.
yeah, that was just a snap decision right there. You know, obviously, Planeswalker's hard for Maverick to deal with, assuming that Rob can present a certain amount of blockers or have a card like a Wrath of God effect, like Like a Wrath of God.
Yeah, like Wrath of God. Toxic Deluge.
Toxic
is probably
Deluge,
more
sorry.
likely. But, you know, we can dream. I know he's splashing white for Meddling Mage. Maybe he's also splashing for Wrath of God.
Wrath of God, get out of the way.
Who needs Damnation?
Can't regenerate.
Who needs Damnation?
Can't
when you got Wrath of
regenerate.
God? So it looks
Oh
like...
man, he almost tapped 3 there. He had the Savannah in tow with the Aether Vial.
If that only
Make
worked.
3 mana. Oh boy. Yeah, kind of like how, you know what's crazy? We've seen a couple different Aether Vial decks. We've seen Maverick, which is sort of that classical green-white mid-range deck. And then we've also seen Goblins, which is like an old school. Oh, what was that?
So it looks like Rob just casted a Golgari Charm to kill a Mother of Runes and a Dryad Arbor on
Dryad
Dylan's
Arbor.
upkeep.
Yeah, Dryad Arbor
Pretty
is
relevant.
pretty big deal here, actually. You know, and I'll tell you what, he can't equip GT. Oh, I guess Needle's on GT, but you know, certainly can't do a whole lot right now.
He needs to draw a land here. Oh, he's gonna blow a mana.
Yeah, I like
Makes
that.
sense. I like
certainly
this
like that. You know what would have been really crazy is if he actually warped in his Vial, warped in a Stoneforge Mystic in response, got a Batterskull, and then warped the
Well, he has
Batterskull.
the Batterskull already.
Well, I mean, like if he didn't have it,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Off
If
his
the Batterskull had gotten
off
GT.
of his first Stoneforge, that would have been a pretty savage lion.
So we're gonna see a Shardless Agent. This is
Yeah.
gonna cascade. I wonder what's gonna hit. Ancestral Visions. It's a Baleful
Oh,
Strix.
Baleful
That's very
Strix,
strong.
very
here.
good. You know, certainly very good in this match, or in this position right here. Blocks the Batterskull and
There's
makes it
another
very hard.
Golgari Charm.
Oh,
Very
I mean,
powerful card.
Second Golgari Charm is not so good here
Yeah.
because it kills. You know, kill your.
The Sports State's getting real hard to deal
Look,
with. For Dylan.
it's time to get out the way because here comes the big man. I mean, I don't know how big now the real query is going to be, but I'll tell you right now. I mean, it's going to grow. It's gonna get
There's a
massive.
Death Right in play, so that'll be able to eat the lands one for one.
You know what? There's actually a pretty interesting modern combo deck with that card
Retreat
and
to Coral
Retreat to
Helm,
Coral Helm. Yeah, there's. I think I don't know who spoiled or who had a deck list come out on Star City, but I think there was one that placed top 28 in the latest Star City IQ.
Oh, yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so pretty interesting cards, a lot of interesting implications. You know what's really spicy is Knight of the Reliquary in tandem with that land can actually cast that Abrupt Decay in hand.
Yeah.
He can actually make a blue or make a green, activate Knight, sack it, go get a Bayou, and then cast Abrupt Decay.
It looks like we got another Baleful Strix here.
certainly very nice, but not so nice anymore.
Rob's got to be happy just putting these blockers into play.
Yeah, Baleful Strix very powerful and certainly a good card that can answer Knight of the Reliquary.
It'll definitely put that on defense.
Yeah.
And
I mean, please go ahead.
I'm just going to comment on the fact that these board states, while these are both... Shardless is more of a spell-based deck. It still has a lot of creatures.
Right.
And Rob's just putting up walls. He's like, I got a lot of guys. They're all on defense. I don't really care
Yeah.
about your board state. I'm just going to defend
Yeah.
mine. I don't care about your life total. I'm just going to defend mine.
Right. And Deathrite Shaman is content just to start eating whatever's in the graveyard, whatever he can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it looks like he's kind of gained a little bit of life, trying to stay alive.
Looks like Liliana's
And
going to come down.
Liliana.
So there's 3 creatures on Dylan's board, and I don't know. I was running 2 Dryad Arbors in my Vile Maverick list. It's possible that Dylan is as well.
There's no way. I mean, there's no way he's going to sack a land here.
Yeah,
I think he's
think
going to
so.
stack his Stoneforge. Yeah. Oh wow, he's got a
Sylvan
Sylvan Safekeeper here.
That's what he's got
Yeah,
in
gonna
hand.
get gonna get the Bayou, and he's gonna snap off that
Fetch land into Bayou.
You know what? Oh, you know what? He's gonna kill that. He's gonna kill the needle.
Oh,
And
wow,
then he's
yeah.
gonna go ahead and equip the GT, and the GT is gonna get in there alongside the Batterskull, and he's just gonna just destroy. Yeah, here comes. It's gonna be on the needle. It's gotta be on the needle.
Yep.
There it is.
There it is.
There
Good
it
line.
is.
I like that line a lot.
Yeah. And if he draws a land, then his knight can also protect itself from. I mean, obviously Liliana can't hurt him here, but now here comes the equip the GT to the skull, and it's gonna be downhill from there.
Yeah. And the cool thing is he's spending a token here. He's not actually losing anything to one of those Baleful Strixes.
That's right.
He's not losing a Knight of the Reliquary. He's losing a Batterskull.
Yeah, and Knight of the Reliquary has significant value here. He can actually Knight of the Reliquary can protect himself, finding Dryad Arbor. What did he draw? Ooh, he drew another land.
Yeah, I thought that was an Overgrown Tomb for a second.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. That would have been awesome. And you
Got
know
a lot
what?
of
You know what's
shock lands.
crazy about it is now. I mean, Knight of the Reliquary can still equip the GT, but he can also protect himself with that Sylvan Safekeeper.
I imagine that's what he's gonna do.
Safekeeper sacking the land is going to be huge in stopping cards like Abrupt Decay from Rob's side. Yes.
Yeah, so he's got 1 mana floating.
Yeah. Tap to activate. Activate Knight. He's thinking about it. That's a foil Knight. That's a nice card, man.
Oh, I actually can't tell that's foil.
I love Knight of the Reliquary. Knight of the Reliquary is a beautiful card.
Looks like he's going to cast Sylvan Safekeeper, so he's deciding not to do the line that we thought of. Possibly still does, but he's shuffling.
I think he will. Yeah, he's still going to do it.
He's doing it. I was curious. He was shuffling. I was a little confused.
Hook up legit. This reminds me a lot of the Brian Hawley deck. I don't know if everybody knows about Brian Hawley's Bant deck. That was actually pretty insane, but it was basically a Bant deck that ran Safekeeper and Knight and Greenstone Zenith, and it didn't run an equipment package, but you could do some pretty insane plays like this: Knight to ramp and then Knight also to attack.
I've also seen some decks playing Scrub Ranger.
Oh yeah, Scrub Ranger for the double activation. Right.
And you can do some really cool things with Mother Runes and Scrub Ranger as well.
Right.
You can bait out some tricks and then like tap your Mother Runes to protect something like, oh, I got you, Abrupt Decay your mom. You're like, in response, vial this bad boy in, tap,
not bad.
reactivate.
Wow.
It also does very cool things with Dryad Arbor because you have to return a forest. Dryad Arbor is a forest.
And Dylan not missing a beat on the GT. I mean, sometimes you'll miss sometimes lesser players are going to go ahead and miss the GT trigger, even though that's the primary reason why he played Abrupt Decay and attack.
Oh yeah, I feel like he knew that was coming.
Yeah.
I still gotta ask the guy.
We're gonna see an uptick on Lily here. It's gonna get rid of a Stoneforge and a Thoughtseize, so that's really good for
Stoneforge was a big play.
Effectively, Rob played a Thoughtseize and got the uptick with Lily for free.
Right. What? I mean, geez, there's like, that Golgari Charm is going to do a really good job of clearing out those, that
Sylvan
Safekeeper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it's also, it would be a really huge blowout if Rob minuses Lily and then Dylan activates the Knight to go and get a Dryad Arbor, and then the Guard Charm is just going to wipe out everything.
With the Lily trigger activation on the stack.
In fact,
absolutely.
You know what? I bet you that's what's going to happen here. Well,
I'm fairly certain that's what Rob's hoping to sculpt. I don't know if he's going to be able to wait that long.
Yeah.
Because this GTA is going to be able to answer the Baleful Strix and then potentially get in.
Yeah, I think what he has to do is he actually has to send. He can't send it all. He has to equip the GT though.
I imagine he's going to equip the GT to the Safekeeper here. I don't really want to equip it to the Knight. I imagine he's going to suit up the Safekeeper, give the Baleful Strix -1/-1, and then attack for 1. The cool thing about that is that
maybe
Rob actually does get a pretty powerful window there where he's able to play Golgari Charm while GT has an activation on the stack.
I think he's going to go to the Knight, because I mean the Knight's not going to die to combat damage.
Yeah, well, it will die to that Baleful Strix.
Oh yeah, I mean he's going to shoot the Strix right, attack Liliana. Rob is going to chump with the Shardless Agent, and it's going to get complicated here because. Geez, that Guard Charm is just so menacing.
It's a little scary to have a Golgari Charm when you have a bunch of X2s and your opponent has an active GT, though, because he can shrink your creatures.
That's right.
And then Golgari Charm will wipe them off the table. It's important
to think about. He's going to have to block here. Man, this Christmas music is just outrageous right now.
Yeah, I thought we were listening to Yakety Sax a little bit ago.
Yeah.
I think I heard that.
You know what? Another thing that's really cool about Safekeeper is you can actually sack lands to your Knight to give him protection. And it also grows the Knight.
Yeah.
Right? So you can actually all in your opponent with a Knight of the Reliquary and a Safekeeper in place. Sometimes your opponents don't see that.
Yeah, just fireball him.
Another thing that's really cool about Greenstone Zenith for Safekeeper is when you Greenstone Zenith for 1, your opponent's like, what's he going to get? Like Dryad or like Noble Hierarch or just like another one-drop? Yeah, something. Yeah, Deathrite Shaman, what's he going to get? And then it's Safekeeper, and your opponent's just like, oh, well, I just can't kill anything on the board ever. Like, I just can't kill any of your creatures.
So it looks like, Shardless Agent's going to get in the way. 3 counters on GT. Minus counter.
Yeah. And he's going to drain with... And he's going to drain with the... you know what's really nice is the card that Dylan drew, it's not going to be exposed to that Golgari Charm. You know, and
I don't think that Rob has to play Golgari Charm here, though. He's already...
Oh, he already did. That's why the Safekeeper's in the bin.
Yeah. Totally forgot. He does have a Lily here that he's probably going to downtick on that Knight.
You know what?
Unless Dylan has something he can violent on 3. I don't know what actually is in his hand right now.
I like your line better because I think if you play... Oh, okay, Shardless Agent. Oh my god. Oh!
That's huge.
Oh my god.
That Sylvan Safekeeper dying is a very big deal.
That was so brutal.
So it looks like he's going after the Knight of the Reliquary here. I like this.
That was so lucky. Oh my god. I hate Shardless Agent. I hate Shardless
It's so
Bug.
powerful.
It's so stupid.
It does some very strong things. And the thing is, that was a roulette wheel, but like, what are you not happy to hit there?
I'm just saying.
Him to Torok is like the only thing.
I'm just saying. You gotta be kidding me.
Let me see a Tarmogoyf as well.
Wow.
Uptick on Lily, I suppose.
Make
you discard. Yeah, that's
and there goes the creature, right? So the thing about it is, Liliana was supposed to deal with the Knight.
Yeah.
Liliana was supposed to deal with the Knight, and And Dylan was supposed to have that Thalia in hand to equip with Jite, and he was supposed to be able to fight like that. But instead, what ended up happening was, what's it called?
The Abrupt Decay
yeah,
got to deal
flipped the
with the
Abrupt Decay, and the Abrupt Decay dealt with the Knight, and it's not going to work.
Yeah,
out.
we're going to remove GT counters to kill that Shardless here, which I guess that makes sense. It's a little clunky, but...
I suppose. I mean, like, he's trying to sled on the clock, but in the end, it really just doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this guy's going to be a 5/6. I don't think I've seen any enchantments go by. There hasn't been any Spirit of the Labyrinth or anything like that.
I don't know. I'm just really unhappy. I felt like Dylan played very well.
Yeah, I feel like he tried to set it properly, but got punished pretty hard.
Well, I think he did. I think what could he have done?
I feel like him suiting up the other creature would have been very nice. So it looks like we got a Stoneforge here. I think there's still a Sword of Fire and Ice in Dylan's deck, but that's nope. Looks like he boarded it out, which I like. I feel like it should have been out of the deck before. And anyways, he probably is just going to discard it to Liliana at some point. I imagine Lily's going to downtick here. Oh, there's the sword. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So he does have the sword. You are correct.
I imagine Lily is going to downtick here anyway.
You know, that's one of the issues with a deck like Maverick is you have problems where if you run out of advantage and you get stuck underneath a card like Liliana, you really can't recover. Like you need to.
No ways to come
you
back.
Can't just sit there and draw cards because Liliana's going to make you discard them.
So we see a Toxic Deluge for 2. I actually would have attacked.
Deluge for 2. Deluge for 2.
I would have attacked with the Tarmogoyf first.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And then deluged and then uptick Lily, but it ended up not mattering here. Yeah, so we got a cut on Dylan's deck because he just searched off that.
Nothing to do here.
He's right. It's a Spirit of Labyrinth, so there's an enchantment creature, but I imagine he's just
grow
gonna
the
have to
Tarmogoyf.
And actually, that is going to grow the Tarmogoyf and put Dylan on a 2-turn clock when he was on the 3-turn clock. Here's the downtick. Tarmogoyf gets big now. Tarmogoyf is a 6/7 coming in.
Man, I'll tell you what. People that aren't excited right now. Dylan Falk.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good riff though. Liliana's still in play though, and there's a Ancestral Vision's coming off in 2 turns, so I don't know if
people
it's really gonna matter.
Decks that can't draw a lot of cards. Dylan Falk.
Yeah, sorry about the audio issues, guys. We don't really have like a formal booth, and we just have a normal boom mic set up, and there's a bunch of people standing at the table behind us.
And you can hear Jordan yell a lot. I am yelling kind of loud.
Yeah. Jordan's also pretty loud.
I'm really excited though. I like Magic cards a lot. They're great.
Yeah.
I hope everybody in the stream also likes Magic cards.
We got a draw for the turn.
Yeah, sure. It's just a recall.
Looks like he's probably going to go Tarmogoyf, Deathrite Shaman, uptick Liliana, pitching Force of Will. Oh, maybe he's going to hold on to the Force of Will.
Can you move forward 10 feet that way?
Yeah, shut up.
If you're going to be loud.
Which is everybody, including me probably.
But you know what? That's match, so not a huge deal if they quiet down.
Hey, Greg, you're going down.
Unruly.
You're going down, Greg. You should come on the street. You should.
All right, welcome back to the booth, guys. So that was 4 rounds of Legacy here at Card Kingdom with a little bit of Vintage sprinkled in for variants.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We had a blast commentating. The players had a blast playing, and Greg looks pretty pissed. He wants to fight.
Yeah. Is it okay if Greg comes in the booth real quick?
Yeah, Greg, come over here.
Yeah, Greg, why don't you go ahead and take a seat?
A little squat, maybe.
Yeah.
And so these two guys are going to be battling on twitch.tv/blitzterran on Saturday.
We're all in duking it out.
Ooh, baby.
Fisticuffs, $100 per match.
Not endorsed by Card Kingdom in any way.
Not endorsed by Card Kingdom.
Just
by us.
All of his hundreds are mine.
It will happen. This guy's going down. He's going to meet the pavement.
He's going to have 3 decks, and I'm going to have 3 decks, and all my 3 decks are going to beat his 3 decks. And they're going to look pretty.
Yeah. And so for you guys that don't know how Conquest works, is each player brings 3 decks, and you have to win with each of your decks. So you know what 3 decks they have, they know what 3 decks you have, but then you don't know exactly which deck they're going to pick, and it doesn't matter the order that you play, you can swap in between each round, but you have to win with each deck once.
Yes.
So yeah, tune into that, twitch.tv/blitzterran on Saturday. Do you guys have a time set up yet, or is this just at some point during the day?
It's going to happen. You're going to know about it.
So
You're going to tune in.
1 o'clock Saturday.
All right,
Yeah, 1 o'clock
on
Saturday.
Pacific time.
It's going to be a mess.
Until then, we'll see you next week here at Card Kingdom, twitch.tv/cardkingdom, 6 p.m. next Monday for more Legacy action. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks, guys.